Well, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, and good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another episode of The Morning Glow. Welcome to another episode of The Morning Glow. Host Raheem Aljamain, and we have with it, oh, get things coming through the TV and everything around here, man. But listen, it's a great we got a great broadcast lineup for you today. You know what this is. You know what this is. This is Way Out Wednesday. Way Out Wednesday. 678-381-1973. 678-381-1973. Give us a call. Whatever's on your heart, we will talk about it and talk about it in its entirety. Don't have a topic on Wednesday. We intentionally do not come out and have a topic on Wednesday because we want to make sure that you call in with your topic. And whatever your topic is what we're going to talk about, what is going to be our topic of discussion. But before we go another step further, before we go another iota, I got to say good morning to Captain Leonard. This is my brother from another mother, but we got the same father, Captain Leonard. Good morning, sir. How you doing this morning?
Good morning, Raheem, and morning, Glow family.
Good deal. Good. You know, this is Way Out Wednesday, brother. This is Way Out Wednesday. So I want to ask you the question, brother. What's on your heart?
What's on my heart is the market
Mm-hmm.
and trying to find the next big stock, but we've made some good investments. So hopefully we'll do some more research
Mm-hmm.
and get up on the game and find out where the money resides.
Boy, that fella came from nowhere and then blew up, man. And
Look, all it takes is for somebody to laugh just a little bit,
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and
He
you can get attention these days.
did you see me trying to drop that call?
Try to drop what?
You didn't see me on TikTok trying to drop that call, brother. You need to check out my TikTok, man. I'm trying to drop the
You
call.
know what? You know what? At first, I'm looking at it. I'm like, I had to turn it up so I could hear it.
Mm-hmm.
Why is he just throwing that phone on his couch like
my
you in the TikTok, man? It'd be funny when I see you pop up on there.
man, look here. My daughter said, I said, baby, let's do a TikTok. She said, what you gonna do? I said, I don't know. Because she had just got here from California. I said, I don't know. I said, I'll come up with something. I said, come on. And I went over there, man, and that's what came to me. And she just we didn't practice it. We shot it one time, then rehearsed it or nothing, man. It just came across like that. And she said, what you doing? You know, it went through her part and everything. And I said, I'm trying to drop this call. People are really are commenting pretty good on it, man. And I appreciate them taking the time to even watch it, man. Because
Oh yeah.
so much stuff is.
Sometimes I don't catch them. I don't catch them till late.
Mm-hmm.
But there because I'm subscribed to you,
Uh-huh.
it'll pop up on that timeline and let me know if there's a video there when I check it out. When they pop up, I do check them out.
Oh, okay, good. I definitely appreciate it. Now, what is going on, man? We got it before we kick it off, man. We always talk about what's going on in politics and stuff like that, man. What kind of changes has happened, and it changed from day to day, man. Things happen
Yeah.
and change from day to day. Now I noticed they talking about this situation with Barr. What's going on with Barr?
Well, I think Barr was facing. He was going the former Attorney General, I'm assuming.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Well, I believe that he left office amid an investigation for him to be disbarred for his unethical behavior as an attorney.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm not sure. I haven't seen any news about how that is going, or is there still efforts to have him to take his license?
Mm-hmm. But
I knew that's what he was concerned about, but I don't know of any really recent news.
mm-hmm. Wow. And they said,
Well, he actually, this dude just pretty much lied. He
yeah.
pretty much lied.
Mm-hmm.
I believe there was investigations that he messed up. I mean, obstruction of justice himself as Attorney General.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
Exactly.
So, these people, this new administration has a lot of work as it relates to get rid of those people that were in league with the former president.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because, the Republican issues are still a problem. You still have Ted Cruz and these guys. Actually, I see them. They're trying not to look stupid behind this Trump thing.
Mm-hmm.
but Trump is still in the background. And the thing is how are the Republicans? They had a great front man for their foolishness before.
Mm-hmm.
Now they really don't.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, see.
So their whole political survival is now probably going to fail if we show up to the polls for these elections next time.
Mm-hmm.
They should lose power.
Yeah. Yeah. And then
So
my question is,
they're fighting against right now.
My question is, where will they end up once they lose that power, though? Because right now, and I don't understand what the loyalty and the dedication everybody have to Trump, man. I mean, what's the loyalty and dedication that they have to him, man? Why in the world?
The same reason why people are so allied to the streets.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they want to do.
That's crazy.
Everybody don't want to do the right thing.
Yeah. Yes, that's true.
And they'll go a long way wrong if it's winning.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
So that's why. I mean, the same reason why you get with somebody and go rob somebody.
Mm-hmm. Knowing that it's wrong.
Same reason why, same reason why you think you do what you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
These people don't have good intentions, and I don't know, why some people believe they do have it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still confused about that. I know exactly what their agenda is. I'm like their agenda.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Wow, that's
so the people who can't see it. There may be a Republican calling here today. Maybe they can explain it to you.
I wish they would, man. I really do wish that they would take a few minutes and call in 678-381-1973. 678-381-1973. I really would like to know what is your stance and how do you feel about this? Why are you really dedicated or that dedicated to Trump and what he's trying to do? I talked to somebody a couple of months ago, and it was an old Caucasian brother, and he was saying how he feel, and we sit there and I listen to this man. He was saying how he feel that Trump is going in the right direction if you just give him an opportunity to finish what he started. Just give him an opportunity to finish it, and you will see the difference. Man, look here. I saw the difference. I saw hate. I saw manipulation. I saw all kind of adjectives to present or to say what I saw, and none of it was good. None of it was good.
I mean, it's not. But those people who are supporting him are not good people.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't matter.
Wow.
It's not about being a good person or any of that.
Mm-hmm.
They're just evil people, and they know what that agenda is, and they're following that agenda because they're sort of. I mean, we were talking about it the other day.
Mm-hmm.
They're just maybe they're hateful people. They're that full of hate, and they have to vote for somebody just as hateful as they are, and be bold with it.
And they are that.
Yeah,
they are that very, very bold with it, man. And whatever happened to all these people? And there was a lot of. I'm sure. I'm sure a few of them came to you as well, man. God spoke to me, and God spoke to me Himself, and said that Trump gonna be reelected. I just talked to pastors, I've talked to bishops, I've talked to apostles, I've talked to spiritual people, and all of them, a lot of them say the same thing. Oh, he gonna be reelected. God spoke to me.
Well, who said?
And from what they're saying, they say that God told them that Trump was going to be reelected for a second term. And my thing is this right here, man. Don't lie on God. God evidently.
I mean, he could be elected. He could be elected. That's how wicked America is. He could be elected.
They were saying Trump gonna be reelected. They were saying he's gonna be reelected. He's gonna do a second term. Back. They're gonna put him back in office. And I'm like,
all he got to do is get voters to all he got to do is get voters to the polls.
Mm-hmm.
Like he did the last time.
Mm-hmm.
He can still win the election.
Yeah. He can. But my thing was,
why wouldn't he be able to win again?
Well, my thing is he didn't, and they were saying that he was going to win the next day. He's going to be a 2-term president back to back, like
you're talking about their previous.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
I thought you had someone saying that going forward.
No. They said that he was going.
Because like I said, I don't return the violence. I just don't. So I didn't know what you were talking about.
Yeah. I've had so many people
that still may believe that.
Yeah, and they did, man. And see, my thing about it, my issue is don't lie on God. Don't say God told you this. Oh, he gonna be reelected. Man, I had this dude, and he said he apostle. I'm Apostle Blas. I'm not gonna call his name. I'm Apostle Blas. I should call his name though, but I ain't gonna do it. I'm Apostle Blas blah. And look, I'm gonna tell you something. He's gonna be reelected. Man, you know two of them. Two of the apostles just said that to me. You know them. You know two of them. I'm not. I'll tell you who they are. Oh yeah, I'll tell you who they are off air. I'll tell you who they are. I'm not.
I know who one of them may be.
Yep. Bingo.
I can't remember the second. I don't believe the second one. I don't know.
I believe you.
Or else I don't know that they call themselves an apostle.
Man, listen, these dudes, man, say, look, man, he gonna be reelected. God spoke to me, man. It came to me clear as day, man. Clear as day. God said he gonna be reelected. He gonna do a second term. Really?
But that's why their apostle career is over. Because if you're gonna prophesy something that don't happen, that makes you a liar.
Yeah.
That's all it is. Just makes you a liar. I mean, I don't. Some people think a little too much of themselves.
Yeah. Exactly. And yeah, he gonna be reelected. Sad as it is, I don't like it. You really don't like it. You sitting here cheerleading for this, and you really don't like it. And now that it has not happened the way that they said it's gonna, like I say, maybe going forward, maybe so. Maybe they will vote him back in or whatever. But that's not what you said. You said he's gonna be reelected right now, right after this term. He's gonna be right back in office. That's what you said, apostle.
But that's how people are that always lie anyway. They always lie about something, and then you got to go behind and try to make it sound like you was kind of right, or you wasn't talking about this or that. Like, how about we just go and fight, or you get out of my face? Because you're a liar.
Exactly. Badger, good morning, sir. How you doing this morning?
Wondering why I'm hopped into another Trump conversation again.
Hey, this what
everybody.
And see, my thing is this right here. We're talking about the people, and Badger, you probably heard them too, man. They probably came in and approached you and said the same thing to you. They say that well, God has said that Trump gonna be reelected. He gonna be back in office again. We got to do 4 more years of Trump. We got to do 4 more years. He ain't leaving office. He ain't leaving office. And now that
nobody's told me that.
Yeah, when Trump was in office, I had several people come to me and say, because we were talking about the election and stuff like that, and they would say that he's gonna be reelected. He's gonna do 4 more years. He's not leaving office. God told them that.
I have no idea.
That's okay. But now that he has not, Leonard said that because of the fact that he was not elected, that these people are quote unquote liars. They're liars, and they license should be revoked.
I wouldn't say that.
If you prophesy falsely,
yeah, prophet lying. You prophet lying.
Because to me, that's part of that. What I bring up sometimes about people using certain things for their own personal power or gain.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's a scary thing.
It is. It really is. So, Daria, where's your video?
I'm in the car, so I didn't want to be moving around and looking and driving so people could see that. So that's why I'm on the way I am.
Okay, that's fine. Let me ask you this question. This is where I went. We don't have a topic today. We actually talk about whatever's on people's heart. But what we are right now, we're talking about now. Daria, have you ever heard anybody say when Trump was in office before the election, bishop, apostles, pastors, ministers, or just everyday spiritual people say, God spoke to me and said he's going to do another term. He's not leaving office. He's going to do 4 more years. God spoke to me and told me that. Now I know you don't like it, but God spoke to me. I heard God speak plain as day. He done said he's going to do 4 more years. And they prophesied that Trump would do 4 more years because God told them. Now, Sadaria, have you heard anybody when Trump was in office say that?
I haven't heard anybody say God spoke to them, but I have heard many people who really believed he was going to have a second term. And I was listening to I think that was Leonard earlier, and like he said, it's just hate. You were asking about people's loyalty to Trump. All that is in our country, people. I'm saying people because I want to leave it in general. There are a lot of people who still live in that hate arena for other cultures and nationalities. So when they had someone who would be okay or allow them to have the freedom to show their hate outright, then of course it felt for them like a power play. Okay, as long as he's in office, we have this power play and we can act up and we don't have to hide anymore these hateful hearts that we have. And that's why we saw so much hate across the country when number 45 was in office. So I don't even like to use the man's name, honestly. That's Leonard is absolutely right. This is people in this world who are just evil. They have evil intentions, evil hearts, and they needed that. That was like somebody giving them the fuel to just outwardly be who they really are in their hearts and minds. So we just had the opportunity to actually see the hearts and minds of a lot of people in our country, unfortunately, because of who was in presidency. But I never heard, if someone told me that it was a prophecy, I probably wouldn't have even spoke to the person anymore on that level anyway. Because it's just something that I wouldn't be able to believe in my heart. Nor would I, like you said, why blame it on God?
Yeah.
You
can't believe nothing after that point. You can't believe nothing they say because they've lied to you. And not only have they lied to you, they've lied on God.
Exactly. And that's even worse.
Exactly. Leonard, what's on your heart, brother?
Happy Cinco de Mayo.
Happy Cinco de Mayo, brother. Absolutely.
Gracias.
That's what's on my heart.
De nada.
What is that? The Cadillac? What you talking about? Denali. What you say?
Denali. Yes, sir. Yeah, I'm brushing up on my Espanol, brother. I'm brushing up on my.
What was that? Not that. I don't even know what that language would be.
I'm brushing up on my Espanol, brother. My Espanol. See.
Okay. Let me know how that work out for you. I want you to speak like that to my Mexican brothers and sisters today.
Yeah, look here, and they will receive it well.
They might let you slide today. They'll let you slide today, baby,
because of the days that it is. Now tomorrow might not happen.
Just cause it's today. Don't do it tomorrow, though. Don't do it tomorrow.
Wait, don't press your luck. Don't press your luck. Yes, sir.
Right. But if people don't know what it is, it's it's when the Mexican army defeated the French, and that's why people celebrate Cinco de Mayo.
Exactly.
Napoleon, actually.
And let me ask you, why is it? And I'm glad you went that way because this is where I Wednesday. We jump all over the place. That's what we do on Wednesdays. Why does people put such a stigma, a negative stigma on Haitian on Haitian? When Haitian folk
on what?
On what is it? What is that? Haitian?
Are you trying to say Haiti?
Haiti, yeah.
Okay.
Haitian people. Man, it's early, brother. It's early. Work with me, brother.
Haitian is a whole different thing, by the way.
Hold on, let me get my scratch pad
Work with me, brother. Work with
me today.
Yes, sir. Look at let it know me that boy. I gotta brush up myself. I hope my wife ain't listening right now because she's when I get home today, Lord.
Yeah, you're gonna have a problem with your wife about these pronunciations.
Exactly. But why is it they give such a negative a view on Haiti, man? When Haiti fought like crazy, man. Haiti fought a lot of people on, man. People couldn't just go and mess with Haiti any way they wanted to. So what do you think it is?
Excuse me. It depends on who you're talking about. Because I don't know anyone that or has a problem with, Haitians that much. Haitians are who they are. They're not pushover type people. They're not going to usually go along with your foolishness if they don't agree. A lot of them would rather just leave you alone. Yeah. If y'all don't have anything in common. Haitians don't bother nobody no more than nobody else. White folks bother people more than anybody. So, I mean, when you say about the Haitians, I don't have a negative view of Haitians. And I don't know what the negative view of Haitians would be.
Well, people say that they're this, they're disruptive, they're this, and they're that. And my thing is, I think a part of a piece or a part of it is because of the fact that, like you say, they don't bother nobody. I got a lot of my Haitian brothers and sisters. We're very close. We're very close. And as a matter of fact, I could call them at any time, and they can, and vice versa. They can call me at any time, and I'll be right there. But a lot of times people say, and I spoke to one of my brothers. I said, man, why? He said, because man, we fight, man.
Yes.
He said, look at through history. He said, we fought. He said they tried to come. He was telling me something. He was telling me some things, and I wish you would call in this morning. He was telling me some things. He said, look at history and look at how we fought and how we fought off people that try to come in. And
Haiti was determined to stay free.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's the part I'm talking about right there. Speak on it.
If you know anything about the Haitian struggle against all of the invaders that have tried to do what they have done to Haitian brothers and sisters, it's the best fight of African American independence. Excuse me, I said American. My fault. African independence, because let's not forget Haitians are Africans.
Yes, absolutely.
So they're just in Haiti. Just like we're the descendants of Africans. We're just in America.
Yeah.
But Haiti took a stand, and Haiti fought more and fought back for their own independence and won. That is why people don't like them. It's because they won, and they insist on their independence. Even when they have disasters and things of that nature. If you notice, when it's on the news, everybody wants to help Haiti. But see, when it's not on the news, folks are not thinking that way.
Yeah.
Haiti is still trying to rebound because they're constantly being disrupted, whether it's nature, whether it's violence, or, you got the Dominican Republic, who isn't that all that fond of Haitians either. And we know the civil battles between what they would say the Dominican Republic and the Haitians, because they have that same thing going down that way too, as it relates to just the simple color of skin.
Exactly.
So some people want one side of that rock, the other people on the other side, and they want people to stay on their side of the rock. And so we have constant issues where people are being treated poorly, just like with no different than Palestine and all these places. There's always some evil agent trying to destroy someone else's existence. And they hate Haitian independence and freedom.
Wow. And see, how could you hate somebody? You try to go take over their land and they beat you. Now you hate them.
That's why.
It's crazy, man.
That's why, because you beat them.
Yep.
Well,
they beat you. They beat you.
Yeah.
They beat the brakes off when you ran. You get on up out of here, man. Let me go to Sidaria. Sidaria, what's on your heart? We're talking about Haiti and why people have such a negative view of Haiti. What do you say to that?
I think too. I think it has to do with what people see on the news, and they're always depicted when they're in trouble and when they have these bad times going on. It's just like how they used to always show the kids in Biafra, but that making, our culture or anyone with dark skin look like we're always impoverished or always in trouble. So I think, people, we as human beings have a tendency to classify people based on what we see, on how they look, on how they dress, on what they drive or what they live in. And so I think that's a greater part of the reason why people have that negative idea of Haitian people. I know a couple of Haitian people who are very intelligent, very well off. They're very good at business, and they are very, very family oriented. So what we see on TV is just a problematic situation, but that's not the truth of that culture and the people in that culture. But just like everything else that the news perpetrates, everybody, well, not everybody, but most people tend to believe it's true, and that's a huge fallacy in our culture. Just believing everything you see on TV. Just like I came from California, and most people believe that Hollywood is this big glamorous conglomerate, and it really is one of the trashiest places in California.
Absolutely.
It's not what people think. Most of the studios are not even in Hollywood. So, but what's depicted on TV is that's where all the money is, that's where all the rich people is, and it's not. So it's the same thing with what is depicted as far as the Haitian culture. People are going on what they see on TV, and we tend to believe that people stay in, even in a case where it is an impoverished situation. We tend to believe that people stay in impoverished situations because they're not intelligent enough to get out, or because they don't have any drive or wherewithal, and that's not necessarily the truth either. So, yeah.
And see, and a lot of times what happened, and I could use Atlanta as an example, because that's where I am now in Atlanta, and a lot of people that's never been to Atlanta, they view Atlanta a certain way. But Atlanta has, just like every other city, and not trying to put Atlanta down because I really love Atlanta, but they have the very dark sides too, the negative sides, the sides that that people wouldn't want to be a part of, wouldn't want to go into. And some places, in some parts of Atlanta, if you go in wrong, you ain't coming out. You ain't coming out, because Atlanta could eat you up, man. Atlanta could eat you up, but a lot of times they want to put out there to the public, the outside of just the glamorous side. Atlanta is the party place. Atlanta is this. Atlanta got all, and it does. But they never talk about the negative sides of Atlanta. They never talk about the neighborhoods where people are not doing as well. I'll put it that way, are not doing as well. They need a little assistance. They don't want to talk about or shine any light on that. Rico, good morning, sir. How you doing this morning?
Man, I'm out here getting it, man. Grand rising to everybody.
Hey, grand rising, brother. We're talking about the Haiti people, man. Why do you think, and Toussaint, coming to you next, brother, why do you think people have, or they try to put such a negative view on Haiti?
Because people believe the propaganda and the lies that their dad is programmed them with. Now, you know what's funny is that being in Florida all the years that I was, and just reading different stories, you know what I'm saying, being online with different people of Haitian descent, that still live in Florida, down in Miami.
Yes, sir.
The biggest obstacles are naysayers or other black people.
Wow.
Other black people chasing them off the bus. Other black people calling them other dirty black Haitians. They stink. All these stereotypes that you used to hear white people put on us, black people putting it off on them now. It's like they're taking the opportunity to be the bully. Now I got a chance. In the past we talked about how black people will allow certain white people to respect, or they'll give them a certain pass on disrespect, but they won't tolerate it for a black person because they don't think the black person has the audacity. They don't believe in that. I'll take it from anybody, but not that low-lived nigga. So we keep looking at black people with the same eyes that the oppressor did. And it's funny how they were vilified. And, you know, it goes back to this question again. I say why. A lot of people say they don't care about why. You ask why. Because some things don't make any sense.
Mm-hmm.
And if you dig, you'll realize that they were vilified by the people that's mad. Like you said, the people that they overthrew.
Yeah.
The people they kicked out of it repeatedly. It wasn't a one-time thing. And so they're being punished for it still. They're still paying France for the monies and stuff that they lost over, you know, over losing them.
Mm-hmm.
They're being penalized still to this day. And so a lot of people don't know that. A lot of people don't care to know that because they have embraced American ideology. They embraced capitalism. They've embraced everything about the American way. And for you to fit in, you got to conform to daddy's ideology and programming.
Mm-hmm.
So the propaganda works. You know, Caucasians don't even have to vilify Haitians anymore because you got more black people do it. That's why they had to come up with the Zoe gangs. Most of those gangs down in Miami were originated to defend themselves against other American black people.
Wow.
Because we think like conservatives.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't like the immigrants. They didn't want all them dirty Haitians come to get the jobs, even though we can't make nothing but minimum wage. Or we just cleaning people's house. But we don't want them coming over now. We'll let the Indians come and do what they want to do, and we'll let the Chinese come do what they want to do. But I'll be doggone if another black man gonna come over here and step on my feet now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I expect everybody else to do it, but I ain't gonna put up with this. So, you know, that goes to show you how much brainwashing has gone on with black people.
Mm-hmm.
For Haitians to say that their biggest threat is other black people.
Exactly. And see, my thing is right here, like I said earlier, man, I have a lot of brothers and sisters that's Haitian, man, and we're very close. We're very close. Love them dearly, man. We'll do anything in the world for them any day of the week. And because you know, we have a loyalty to each other. And I'm not Haitian, but at the same time, it's like almost like I have a connection, man, because you know it's just how it is. And people say what they want to say, feel the way they want to feel. I can't change the way a person feel, but I can tell you how I feel, and I feel that they're wonderful people. They're absolutely amazing people. Mm-hmm.
They have a loyalty and a unity.
Yeah.
I guess because they go through the same struggle. So you know. That mentality that black people had in the 40s and 50s where the neighbors knew each other very well. It was the village raising the children. That's the way it is with them. The village raising the children because they know they have to watch each other's back, not just for the colonizer that they beat in Haiti, but also for the black people that's over here brainwashed with daddy's mindset. You know, and I ain't gonna let you slide with trying to be all French with Haiti. How you was saying that?
Haitian and all that.
He was trying to be French. He was trying to be fancy. I said, look at him. He said he's trying to brush up on some Espanol. You need to brush up on that French stuff, man. I got you then.
I better learn that English before I try to do anything else. I might. Exactly. Toussaint, good morning, sir. How you doing this morning?
It's okay, man. How about yourself?
Hey, doing good. Why do you think, Toussaint? Why do you think society has or the media in the world try to give Haiti or Haitian people such a bad rap?
I guess from past experience, they know that they you know how I thought about when I heard y'all talking about the subject. I thought about the old song, I Wanna Be Free. A lot of people want to be free, but they won't fight for freedom.
Yeah.
People fought for freedom. And like you say, won. That's the thing. And see, the overture, he fought with them and fought against them. Learned their tactics. So anyway, I was thinking about y'all talking about slums in America. Go to DC, talking about a slum. They talk about the limelight of Washington, DC. It's in the middle of the hood.
Yeah. Exactly.
That's
Absolutely.
You go around there, and if you ever go tour DC, they say don't you venture out too far. because you may not come back.
Yeah.
You're gonna miss your bus ride.
Be careful. Be careful.
So, I'm telling you.
It's,
but people have a tendency to just and Rico's right, you know. I say we, other people of color, if they ever see another people of color that don't necessarily they feel like belong here, ain't that something?
Wow.
This country that is a mutt country, people from everywhere. And then we as a people, I want to say not we, because I have a Haitian descent. My dog goes there. But how in the world is it that you look like me and you got a crab like mentality?
Exactly.
I don't know. It's one of them subjects again.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Badger, switching up just a tad bit. This land is your land. This land is my land. From California to the New York Islands, from the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream waters, this land was made for you and me. Is that true?
No.
Come on.
It should be. But most folks don't think about that anymore. Like one of the things I was going to bring up today was Mr. Rogers. Because like there's really no TV shows like that anymore, and to me it taught a lot about those kinds of things. And it's, however, cancel culture probably would try to cancel that too. The way a lot of things are right now, I'm just baffled, because a lot of the things most of us grew up with, you know, respect for your neighbors and all that kind of stuff has kind of just disappeared. Not quite sure how it did, you know,
because there's certain individuals, certain entities that didn't want it to exist. They wanted it wasn't beneficial for them and their bottom line.
Well, no, because we started getting along and, you know, learning to fight together and everything else, and then now we got what we got today.
Let's go. Let me go back. Let me go back to our sister Sadaria. Sadaria, this land is your land. This land is my land. From California to the New York Islands, from the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream waters, this land was made for you and me. Sadaria, is that true?
No, it isn't. It would be if everyone understood that all of the land belongs to God. It doesn't belong to any one human being. If everybody was realistic about land itself, and in general, you know, going from a real estate perspective, you know, I've always wondered how a person could go and just put a sign on a piece of land and sell it to someone else without, you know, any authority that the land was actually theirs to begin with. You know, so no, this land is not for everyone. I believe the song was made from a group of people who had the mindset when they were singing it, they were just talking about their own ethnicity and their own culture. They weren't talking about the reality of the land having different ethnicities and cultures in it. They were talking about this land is our land. They weren't talking about everybody. They were talking about themselves as a group of people. But you know, even sadder, what happens is just like what happens with kids. How we say children do what you do, not what you say. Well, this is kind of like what has happened in this country. We have the Caucasians who perpetuated this country basically on hate. And so now you see everybody doing what was done to them. So now you have a whole country, all these cultures who have hate between them and amongst them, because that's what the country was built on. It wasn't founded on love. It was founded on the hate of the people that brought other people here to work for them and slave for them and be mistreated by them. And so now that has perpetuated a culture of just hate in general.
Exactly. Now, Leonard, we're talking about that song, "This Land Is Your Land, This Land Is My Land," from California to the New York Islands, from the Red Wing Forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. Is there any truth in that, Leonard?
Well, the songwriter that wrote it, it's a folk song. And the person that wrote it may have had good intentions, but like a lot of music, it's used for whatever one's purpose is. And really, you have to think about it. When Sadaria was talking about how it happened and things like that, that is what you do. And if the reason why you know it's going to be your land, because you're willing to die for it after you take it. This is why it is done. Because if I sail to your land with an army, I plan on killing you and taking your land. It doesn't matter whether I have a right to or not. It's what I'm going to do. And if you're not going to defend it, shame on you. So these are why things happen. It's because people with a vision and a mission are about accomplishing those missions. And that's what that mission was. When we talk about Haiti, you have to remember, Haiti was about independence long before America.
Yes, sir.
Haiti completely ended the European slave trade because of this is the largest slave rebellion in history. They planned on dying for every piece of dirt. And this is why you have to remember, this place was a very wealthy place when it was run by the French and the Spanish. But when the slaves rebelled is how Haiti became black. Because of a slave rebellion. That's why people hate Haiti. And when you add the infrastructure issues and everything, land is land. People who own it are the people who take it and hold it down. I mean, I don't know where everybody else just believe that somebody else is just somewhere minding their manners and everything is cool. When as soon as somebody get on your grass, you about to blow their head off. That's why colonizers did what they did. It's the same reason why you protect your land. You went and found you a place and you bought it and you'll kill somebody for trespassing on it. That's how that works.
Leonard, how is it possible? And I understand the whole structure of this thing, how the world has set it up. You buy this piece of land, it's yours. But how do you own something? How do you own land? How do you really own land? You don't own, you can't own nothing. You had nothing to do with it.
But you can kill anyone that tries to take it from you.
Yeah.
Now that's enough ownership for me.
Now, let me ask you this then, and I'm gonna go to Rico after I come to you. What is the difference in what happened over history and squatters when they go into an abandoned home or a house that nobody's living in? They say, "Well, this is mine. I'm taking over this."
Right.
What's the difference?
Nothing. It's just you gonna lose. That's what the difference is. You're not gonna be able to defend it. You ain't but one person.
Yeah.
You can stay in there as long as you can hold off the police. That's why people have to have guns.
Wow. Rico, what do you say to that, man? And I love what Linda said, man. Honestly speaking, there is no difference. But I want to hear your viewpoint as well. What's the difference? America, the way that America took over this land and came over and said, "It's mine. I own it. I'm claiming this." What's the difference in what a squatter does when he or she walk into a house and say, "This is mine. I'm taking over this. I own this." What's the difference?
It isn't a group of organized people that's squatting.
Mm-hmm.
Organized builders that's working in unison with the same beliefs. So that's why you got to unite with other people. You know, Haiti didn't have a revolt because two something Louisville II on his own. That was a united effort.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody had to be involved. That's the difference. You know what I'm saying? It worked because it was everybody one is working as one.
Mm-hmm.
So if you did want to do that to a community, you would have to be armed. I mean, let's go back to Haiti. Let's talk about this. You know, you asked the question, why are they vilified? Why they got that stigma placed on them?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We look at the power, the people in power in the United States. We know how demonic and evil they are.
Mm-hmm.
And just and unfair.
Yes.
And they've been doing this historically. It ain't just Americans. It's, like you said, French and Spain, all the Europeans, right? But the way they thought they could win, their invincibility.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they think they're invincible to Japan and China and Russia too, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that little country beat them. The last thing they want is for other people that look like them to get anything on their mind. Don't let them get smart. So what they need to do is try to find a way to keep black people in America from looking at them as an example.
Mm-hmm.
So now they done mind screwed and brainwashed you. Oh man, they do voodoo. They nasty. They stink.
Mm-hmm.
They say all this different stuff. You over here in America, you got good. You go rent Lamborghinis and you can talk to the money and chase the bag. Y'all American.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to be like them dirty Haitians.
Mm-hmm.
So now here it is. We looking at them, yeah, man, y'all dirty. Y'all come from Haiti, man. Y'all some poor, nasty black people. Ooh, all them Haitians. I'm tired of seeing all these Haitians coming over here and spanking up the neighborhood. You looking at them negative, but really and truly, they got the whole game plan for you to organize and pull yourself together if you actually go back and research and understand them and their history.
Mm-hmm.
If you go back and research and understand why they looking dirty, their perception and their image is everything, and see, the people in power can control that. So the best thing for you to do, so these people won't just get no good ideas in their heads, is to make sure that they don't look up to or idolize those people that successfully defeated the system.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's a deterrent. It's a deterrent, and in an unconscious way, you know what I'm saying? It not only deters you, but it makes you look at those people as less than. And who's gonna follow them or look at somebody that they think of as less than and somebody as an example of how you're supposed to carry yourself?
Exactly. Exactly. Badger, what's on your heart, brother? Talk to me.
Man, I don't understand as much research as I've done, it still baffles my mind how much in the last 20, 30 years things have gotten as crazy as it's gotten.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, don't get me wrong, early 90s wasn't amazing. But to me, the amount of freedom back then versus the freedom now has changed a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And other people putting their nose in other people's business and things like that. Or thinking that, you know, a group of people think this way, so that's what they're gonna speak out about and stuff, but no one ever listens to the people going, no, you're wrong. That's not what we think. That's not how we do things.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very it baffles my mind.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm hearing a lot of the things we're talking about and stuff like that. And like I said before, you know, I've met a couple of Trump supporters. Matter of fact, that I've met Trump supporters of every race so far, and they all say about the same thing, and it kind of gets you to think a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
because a lot of their views are, he's bringing. We know he was racist. We know, like, a lot of them know that was just the way he was.
Mm-hmm.
With the fact that he was, working on bringing jobs back to America, or at least that's the understanding they have. Those are the things that they were looking at and focused on. Because no other president has done that.
Mm-hmm.
So,
but see, and when I have a conversation with someone and they say that very thing, and a couple of things come to my mind. One is they say he's bringing jobs back to America, but most of the jobs that he has himself, products that he make and produce himself through his company, is not in America at all. His company is Thailand and China and places like that is what's producing his products that he sells. But yet still, he'll say we're gonna bring these jobs back to America. Okay, let's start with you. Bring your company back here to America, set up shop somewhere, and let's make your product here on these soils.
I
So
don't
we can give the
disagree.
American, we could give the American people jobs and opportunity that you're saying that they're missing because everybody getting their workforce somewhere else. They're getting their workforce from somewhere else. So let's start with you, Mr. President. Bring your company back here. What do you say to that?
Oh, I agree.
Mm-hmm.
That's about the same lines as what I say.
Yeah, yeah.
It's to me, it boils down to, so are you just listening to what's being put on the news and whatnot, or are you actually doing research?
Mm-hmm.
And that was something else I was looking at, is even like if you talk to high schoolers, I've talked to a few, and a lot of them pretty much just know how to pass an SAT test.
Mm-hmm.
You talk to them about researching and doing papers, like a lot of us remember.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like it literally depends on what school your child goes to. Like
Mm-hmm.
there's more of the, let's just help you pass an SAT test because we want high scores so we can get more funding, versus some of the other ones that are wanting the kids to learn for themselves. They want them to learn how to think, process their own problems. That's like Common Core. I can't stand Common Core. And a lot of the people I know that think differently, like me and my son, we can't process Common Core math. And we're considered dumb because of it. But we still can get the same correct answer using PEMDAS.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Why are we dumb even though we can get the same answer? Oh, we didn't do that 50 steps that you want us to do. Gotcha.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of issues, and education, I feel, is more of a problem than people want to accept or acknowledge. And it's a bigger problem than racism or anything else in this country.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Because without proper education, how if us parents aren't teaching them, what's left?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Exactly. Toussaint, talk to me, brother. What's on your heart?
I'm just listening. This you was singing that song. I don't know how you remember the words to that song. I don't know if you wrote it down. That this land is my land, your land. It's actually a Badger's land.
Mm-hmm.
If you really want to get down to it, I guess, ain't it, Max? I'm just asking.
Mm-hmm.
I'm asking for a friend.
Yeah.
To be
Yes,
honest, no, the land doesn't belong to us. We are the caretakers. That's all, as far as I'm concerned. I've ever wanted people to understand.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, who had the idea, or who thought about it, that this is the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Mm-hmm.
Who thought about that? Who had the idea that you can come to this country and just enjoy the freedom of the land? Where did that come from? And then all of a sudden, they say, oh, we can't have that.
Mm-hmm.
The same type of people that started it want to stop it. And so, I've never accepted myself as a U.S. citizen.
Mm-hmm.
Ever. I've never accepted. I'm not from Louisiana. I'm not from Mississippi. I'm not this country. Because this country is jacked up.
Mm-hmm.
Period.
Yeah.
I don't care for it. If they had some, now I'm gonna say this: if they had somewhere I could go, I'd move there tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now, what do you think about this move back? What do you think about this move back to Ghana movement that they got going on right now? Would you do that?
Who?
You.
No. What I'm gonna do? What I know about Ghana?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they say the motherland. Some of us couldn't because of our spawn mentality. We have a spawn mentality. We couldn't survive in Africa.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of us.
Yeah.
Because you think that you get the beat down here. Move over there with your attitude.
Mm-hmm.
You'll see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
Move to Haiti.
Mm-hmm.
Move over there to Haiti. And you bad in the hood. Go on over there and see.
See how bad you are, huh?
Or Nigeria. Yeah, or Nigeria.
Mm-hmm.
Or some of these other countries that with people look like us.
Mm-hmm.
Go over there and see.
Mm-hmm. Good deal.
If you can survive.
Rico, are you on board with that? Move to the movement they have right now. Move to Ghana. Move back to Ghana. We're gonna provide you the resources that you need to move to Ghana. Come home, my brother. Come home, my sister.
Everybody ain't ready for that. I mean, you got to be open-minded to letting go. All of these luxuries that you have over here, even though we're unhappy over here, there's still plenty of luxuries that we have that we are used to, adapted to. Not only have we adapted to them, but we're addicted to them. Some of those luxuries they don't have over there. We wouldn't be used to sitting in a fan with in a window with a fan in it trying to stay cool no more. We used to these ACs, these big units.
Yeah.
Central air heating. A lot of stuff we wouldn't be able to adapt to. So, I wouldn't really be open to it unless I was ready to let go of a lot of these luxuries that I've become affiliated with over here in the United States. I have to let a lot of that stuff go. Some of the superficial material things that I love. But I'm gonna go back on this education being a bigger problem than racism. That's in my opinion. Let me say this. And I think in most people's opinion, that's going to be a completely false statement. Because if it wasn't for racism, there probably would be no disparity in education. See, we got to remember that certain people couldn't go to certain schools. That wasn't a lack of education that kept white people, that made white people say they didn't want black people going to schools. That was racism. And that's where it started. See, it was a choice could have been made from the very beginning to give slaves or whoever they had control over the same education as they got. So yeah, it was the lack of education that kept those people from being able to read and make progress. But even with that education, racism will put their foot on their neck. So, but back then, they didn't even have a chance at that. Why? Because of racism. So that racist mindset. Now, if anything is bigger than racism, it's hate. Hate and ignorance may be bigger than racism. But the lack of education being the biggest problem in America over racism, I completely disagree with that. Because if it wasn't for racism, black people wouldn't have had to fight for a fair education. There would be no need for HBCUs. There would be no need for affirmative action. There would be no need for people to have a count on enrollment for certain scholarships. All these different ways that they try to find for black people to get a fair education. That ain't a lack of education that's preventing that. That same system that's been here that came over here and took the land, the same land that we talking about. So, you know, I can't let that one get by. In my opinion, I couldn't let that one slide because I can't let nobody minimize racism. Not with the damage that it does over here. Look, every country on this planet points back to America and say, you know what y'all biggest problem is? The way y'all treat black people. You know what the biggest problem in America is? The way they treat poor people. I mean, it's racism. They know it. So I couldn't see how anybody over here could even believe that that's a bigger problem or less of a problem than education. I mean, I just, you know, but I mean, to each his own. That's just my opinion. I don't think anybody on this planet really looks at America as having an education problem. They look at America as having a racist problem. I think George Floyd proved it. I think Obama proved it. Everybody around the world celebrated when that black man became president. Why? Because they thought the same thing we thought. It ain't gonna never happen in America.
Yeah.
What is Tim Scott on TV talking about? The United States of America is not a racist. He didn't say dumb or uneducated. He's trying to put that out there to the world, and we truly are one of the most poorly educated countries on the planet. But that ain't what the issue is. If that was the issue, then you would have more people standing out trying to prove that's not the issue. You got a black man trying to prove that is not the issue. What it really is. So, I mean, you know, we got to keep everything in perspective. Education is a problem, but education don't lynch people and cut babies out their belly and stomp their brains in the ground.
Come on. Exactly. Badger, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, because apparently I need to clarify what I mean. To me, education encompasses a lot of areas. Education of how to treat people, how to live a proper life. So I'm talking about education with spiritual and religious. I'm talking about education in schools. You know, I'm not for this, you know, don't talk about the Black history of America and them trying to, you know, take it out of the schools and not talk about the slavery and all the other stuff that happened of how this country was made. You know, so I respect what Rico was saying, but I do feel that he misunderstood what I exactly meant. Okay, so to me, education on a whole, when you're looking at it in a general frame or general mentality, educating a young person not to be hateful toward another person because of their color or whatever. To me, education is the base.
Okay. Rico?
Yeah, I can understand that. You know, that I sort of equate what he's saying and what I was saying with love and hate. You know what I'm saying? I mean, if you're trying to teach somebody to love or teach somebody to be fair, or teach somebody to not hate somebody because of their skin color, but to treat everybody equally, that's love. So that, I guess you can consider that a life education. You know, I thought actually that he was talking about a school education. So yeah, I was like, okay, wait a minute. But
yeah, I'm talking about the base general.
Can hear both of you. Go ahead, Rico.
Yeah, but with a life education, I can agree with that because you know you should be taught to love everybody and treat everybody equally. That you're not better or superior than anybody because of your skin color or your sex or whatever beliefs or what street or group or country you come from. But you're a human. So I think, you know, maybe that can equate. You know what I'm saying? We can clear that up. You know, because that has to be taught. Yeah. That love and equality does have to be taught. So yeah, that is somewhat of an education. That I call those life lessons.
Exactly. So Daria, what do you say to that? What's on your heart, sis?
Just listening to all the young men, you know, speak their heart and their mind. I agree with Badger in the perspective of educating the whole person, not necessarily pen and paper education, but educating, as Rico said, educating people to life and living and love and spirituality and acceptance and all of the things that are not taught in schools. These things are not taught in schools. So these are things that have to come from community and family and mothers and fathers passing down to their children. That's the greatest education anybody can receive is understanding how to love and how to exude love to others and to accept. Acceptance is a word that's not taught enough. Acceptance would cure a whole lot of indifferences in our country if we learn to accept people where they are and not for where we think they should be or what we think they ought to be doing or how we think they should respond and act because of so much opinionation. You know, that's part of the reason our country is so jacked up as well, because we have no tolerance or acceptance of other people. I'm not talking about principles that are wrong. I'm talking about people who are human, and we don't have that acceptance, the accepting heart. And you know, I'm still going to go back to the principle that people do what you do. You know, children do what they see, and what we've all began to do in every culture is the same things that were done to us, whether they were positive or negative. So if we're taking negative principles and then we're teaching our children these same negative principles supposedly so that they will have positive outcomes, you're not going to get a positive outcome from a negative principle. It's just not going to happen. All of you're going to perpetuate what you're trying to teach. If you're trying to teach your kid, you know, not to hate and this, that, the other, but they see you, you know, when you sit and watching the news talking about how, you know, the white people did this and this culture does this and Mexicans are stupid and Japanese people can't see. I mean, I'm just using those, and you know, there are stigmas with every culture. You know, in California, the biggest stigma is, you know, Asian people aren't good drivers. Mexican people aren't good drivers. Well, that's not a truth. But if your kids hear you saying that, you may not think that's what you're teaching them, but you are, because they hear you speaking negative about other cultures and other people, but you tell them, but don't hate nobody, you know, love everybody. That's like you smoking cigarettes and yet telling your kids cigarette smoke is bad for you. It's the same principle when it comes to everyday living. If you try to teach your children, you know, in order to better the generations ahead of us, if we're trying to teach them love, but yet they see us not engulfing that principle ourselves, they're going to do what we do, not what we say. And I think that's a huge problem across the board. I wanted to change the subject, but I've been talking a little while. But I did want time to change the subject. Can I do that right now?
Go ahead. What's on your heart?
Yeah, yesterday I was blessed to be able to watch all the men and listening to their ideas and thoughts about manhood, which was really enlightening for me growing up, because I was a young woman that grew up without a father in the home. And, you know, I've been married twice. And now in my older age, I realized that some of the mistakes I made was because I didn't understand the male thinking, how men function, because I wasn't taught that. And I heard someone say, you know, making a man, and correct me if I'm wrong, making a man was, you know, when their son got a certain age, then, you know, they packed up their things and put them out. Per se, and that made that child have to begin to make their own decisions, blah, 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 blah. And I wanted to address that because I wanted to find out, in manhood, do you think that's always the case, that every young man is ready to go out and be a man at, you know, 18 because our country says they're adults? I just wanted to hear the other men on the panel, their views on that.
Well, my thing is this right here. That's individual basis. And actually, Donald, he's here, and he's the one that said that last night, and I want him to speak on that, and say why, what is it that he did, or why he felt that was necessary, because it worked, it worked, and his son is very successful today, because
Okay.
maybe because he made that stance. But it's individual based. Not all young men at 18 years old, 21 years old, or what have you are ready. Maybe they're not ready. And maybe that goes into the grooming process. Maybe they were not groomed properly. Maybe they did not have the examples. Or there's a lot of different reasons why a person is not ready in comparison to why the next person, two people could be 18, one could be ready to go out there and conquer the world. And the other one
Right.
had to stay up under mama's wing just a little bit longer because they're not ready. Tucson, talk to me.
I think that it didn't matter from 18 to now. It mattered from 1 to 17.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You hear what I'm saying? Because
Yeah.
I watched him, and I never had trouble out of him.
Mm-hmm.
I never had to go to school behind him. I kind of, when I got a chance, kind of maneuvered his friendship, the people that he hung around.
Mm-hmm.
I remember when they would saw some young men in the front of the house. So they sitting in the car, and I knew they were friends with my son. I said, "What's going on, fellas?" They said, "We just chilling." I said, "You can't chill here. He can't chill with you."
Mm-hmm.
Period. Because I didn't, and I wasn't trying to dictate to him, because I let my children make their own choices, especially when they got a certain age. If they wanted to, you cut their hair a certain way. If they wanted to put an earring in their ear, if they wanted to, you couldn't, pick your pants up when you're in the house.
Mm-hmm.
But it was how he was raised from that point. And I'll tell you this, mama had passed. We didn't stay together through the whole term. So he had some, I wasn't always to his full life term in the house, but I stayed in his life.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't let the naysayers dictate to him, because you per se couldn't ever come home with the daddy in the house. You couldn't be somebody.
Mm-hmm.
And he had different people in his life. So when I saw him at a certain point, he had already graduated high school. He was playing for the church. He was doing different things, watching. But I saw that he did not have a personal job, or didn't have a head into a future. I couldn't allow him to go no further underneath my roof doing that. So I set his clothes. I didn't put him out. I said to him, "Son, I'm not putting you out. But if you can't do what I'm asking for you to do in this house, you're going to have to find somewhere for these clothes." And I put him at the door. I put him at the front door, all of them. In the closets, I took every one of them, drawers and all. And I put him at the front door. And I said, "You make the choice of what you want to do." And he made the choice that he wanted to go stay with his grandma. I don't forget it. I know it's a long thing, but I'm telling you what I did. He said, "I want to go help my grandmother." I said, "Son, you got to have a job to help her. But if that's what you want to do, I'm going to take you." He said, "Well, I'll just drive my car," because I bought him a car for graduation. I said, "But I'm not paying no insurance." So I said, "Okay, your insurance is," and I know I'm trying to set it up right. I said, "Look, I'm going to take you there." And I took him to Louisiana, to his grandmother's house, shook his hand, and gave him a dime, and told him, "Son, I hope you make it."
Now hold on, then, Donald.
2 weeks later, he joined the Navy.
How much you gave him?
That's what I did.
How much you gave him?
I didn't give him a dime.
Okay. Okay. I thought you said I gave him a dime. I'm gonna say, Lord Jesus. Okay.
No, I didn't give him nothing.
Okay.
But what I'm saying is, he made the choice to realize that he was in a predicament. 2 weeks later, he joined the Navy. So what I'm saying, and all of what I said, is that we have to let these young folks make a positive, guide them as best you can, but don't carry them. Let them make a good, wise decision. And when they make a good, wise decision, I don't care if they want to rap. Support them.
Yeah, that's good.
Support it.
That's good.
To the fullest.
Rico, what do you say to that, brother?
If you know that child has the tools to succeed or the progress to make it, then you can make a move like that. They just might need, we call that encouragement. They might need a little push to go ahead and take that extra step. But now, if you done babied your boys and the only thing you did was give them everything they wanted, and your only concern was if they was nice and clean, you know what I'm saying? That they had all the girls and they just don't have any kind of motivation to contribute to society or know how to be a family man, and you know you created a monster. You can't do that. You can't do that, because then you're going to put somebody out here that's actually probably going to end up looking for another woman to manipulate. 9 out of 10, he probably ain't had the man in his life to help prepare him properly. But see, all that goes down to preparation and then how it's received. Because you do have some young men out here that they are very well prepared. They just need that push. They're not confident. And you can't expect a 17 or 18-year-old to say, you know what? Yeah, I got it. I got all the tools to make it on my own, to be independent, self-sufficient. No, man, this is a whole new, brand new world out here. You know what I'm saying? It's like giving somebody a driver's license and saying, well, okay, now drive to New York. Where you live, California? Oh, you got your license now. You drive anywhere you want to. But who's going to want their child to go out after a week's worth of driving the hotel across the country? And
have to deal with everything. Scared. Yeah, and have to deal with everything that comes into that. Because there's a lot
exactly.
There's a lot in that package right there. There's a whole lot in that package. Let's go to
if you ain't trained them, if you haven't trained them to read maps, if you haven't taught them how to look out for the fluids, if you haven't taught them how to jump off a car or to change a tire, who to call in case of emergency. If you have not prepared these children properly, you can't up and just put them out on the force like that. But see, I figure that Donald had his son prepared, and he observed it. He thought, you know what, man, this boy, he can make it if he go ahead and make a move. All the time he missing is his job. If he gets his income, he gonna take off. So he had to go ahead and make him see, this is the only thing you missing is that income. And I want to help you get the income. Instead of you getting the income and getting your own place first, I want to make you find a place to live, and then see if you know this is the only thing you missing is to get that money.
Exactly. And I'm gonna tell you something, Leonard. I like to look at National Geographic. I like to look at animal shows, and I love it, man. I just love it. That's just me. And they were saying one time how the eagle, when they have the baby, get to be a certain age, they kick them out the nest, man. They kick them out the nest, and you better fly. Is that pretty much what Donald did from that story?
Well, you know, Donald told us what he did and why he did what he did, and I'm satisfied with that. I didn't have to be told to go nowhere. I was a man, so I left. My mother always taught me, kings do king things. So I had to chart my own course. She didn't want me to leave. She even tried to say, are you sure? Are you sure? Yeah, Mom, sure. I'm grown.
Yep.
I can't be grown in your house. So I need to go get my own house.
Man, look here. Tell the truth, Leonard. You just want to be nasty, but you want to have a place to bring them little gals too. Tell the truth, man. Stop.
Yeah, that's what a man's supposed to do. That's what I do anyway. I'm not going to violate my mother's home like that.
Absolutely.
So I needed my own place to do my own thing. and make my own rules on how I want to live my life.
The dirt den. The dirt den. You gotta have a dirt den.
But see, I was planning that when I was 13.
Yeah.
So that wasn't no big deal for me.
So you had an exit plan.
Yeah.
There you go.
Because I didn't want to. My main motivation was, one, I don't need my mother worrying about feeding me, and I'm grown.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need for her to worry about me at all.
Exactly. That's good. That's good.
And I didn't ever want to be a burden to my mother.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't that, a lot of people, there's a difference between lazy, trifling children and those children who just need a little bit more assistance and things like that. That's different. Most of these kids get put out because they don't want to follow rules and they won't do what they want to do. That's why they get put out.
Yeah.
They don't get put out because they great kids helping out and being respectful.
Mm-hmm.
That's not why they get put out. They get put out because of their disposition and their character.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Exactly.
If you don't want to listen, you got to get out.
Got to go. Ain't no two ways about it.
No. And that's why they have so many. These women have so many problems because they're letting these kids tell them what to do in their house.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Badger, what's on your heart, brother?
So we're talking about the raising of kids.
Pretty much, How do you know when it's time for them to spread their own wings?
Oh man, I don't know. I know our oldest says he wants to stay and take care of me and Mama when he gets older.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess when they're ready, because we're working hard to make sure they have every tool that they can need. Our oldest one's a little bit harder because he learns different. So we're not entirely sure with him yet.
Okay. Yeah.
Hopefully we'll figure it out as he gets older because he's special needs. So we're hoping that between us and the doctor, she'll be able to survive on his own. So that's the best we can do.
He will be able to, brother. He will be able to, and that is my prayers. But let me do this. Let me change up a little bit. This is way out Wednesday. We're gonna change up, and we're gonna come to you with this one right here, man. And it's personal preference. This is a personal preference question. Everybody feels differently, and everybody have their own views on it. But Rico, what do you like better? Because something just came across my feed on Facebook, and I said, let me ask these fellas how they feel about this. A woman that body is just jacked up, man. She got more muscles than you got, muscles and legs like tree trunks, and you can see, and it's like she's Arnold Schwarzenegger. Is that a turn on or a turn off to you?
Nah, man. If it's overdone, that's you talking about like China. I don't seen something of them like that, man. Quads huge, man. I mean abnormal. Nah, that ain't me. That ain't me. It ain't even no need in going into detail, man. That looks a little too manly.
Yeah, exactly.
Too much muscle. I couldn't even imagine that, man. Looking at all them muscles. They got them old hard butts too, man. You know what I'm saying? Imagine. That don't look like buffeted body to me.
Exactly. Toussaint, what do you say to that, man? Is it too much when she got more muscles than you?
She'd be like, "No, it's my turn."
Come here. Where you going?
Pick you up and carry you in the door.
Exactly. Wait. Now, I don't like this. I tell you, I don't like this. Go ahead, Toussaint. Go ahead, man.
I don't know, man. I'm like kind of like Rico. Muscular. And it goes further than that because some women want to be men, literally. And they might want to carry you over the threshold. I don't want that.
No.
I guess I'm still old school. I even have a problem with, every once in a while I have to tell a girl, Oh, you carrying the chair, huh?
Mm-hmm.
All right, dude. You know,
Yeah.
I go to open the door, and what she has come to get accustomed to is standing there till I get there.
Yes, sir.
Because every once in a while she grab the door, I say, yes, sir. All right, man. I say, all right, man. And because she used to doing it herself. But I guess I'm still old school. Shiver is not dead. Ain't nothing wrong with that. But then you get this woman, and she's a body lifter. She's, you know, she ain't got no tender spots. None. Oh man.
Wait a minute now.
Yeah.
Tony, you feel some kind of way about this, don't
you? See, I'm sleeping. I live like sleeping on the floor.
She's just that
choice.
She's might be an option, huh?
Don't ask me no more questions out here. Don't ask me no more questions.
Hey, this is Way Out Wednesday, brother. We going way on out. So, Doya, let me ask you this question.
Go way out there.
You have a friend girl, and you think she's overdoing it on that bodybuilding thing, where she's looking. You look at her body, you can't tell she's a woman or a man by just looking at her body. How would you tell her that she's doing too much, or would you tell her?
It's funny because I just had this conversation with my son the other day. And as I expressed before, my son is on the spectrum. So he was expressing to us about his, I say is still his wife because they spend all their time together. His previous wife, she loved bodybuilding and that kind of thing, and he had us really laughing about the fact he said she was shaped like a T because her shoulders was broader than his, and she had the tight rear and everything that you were talking about. And he said he was talking about how when they were, physical together, how it would hurt physically. He said it would hurt his body because her body was so hard.
Good Lord.
And so he was talking about how, women need a certain amount of softness. So the question was, if I had a friend, I would generally tell her that, yeah, I understand. First I would try to find out what is her purpose. I mean, what is your reason for wanting to look like a man? If you are a woman, muscles to that degree is usually given to the male species. Is it just to prove that you can do what a man can do? And I have issues with women always wanting to prove they can do what a man can do to begin with. That's just my personal issue because you're not a man. So why do you have to be in competition with men? You're a woman, and you should be proud of or feel good about being a woman. And that's probably how my presentation would be to her. I used to teach women, young women in my church, and I used to tell them about beauty, and how important it should be to you to have your own personal beauty. But this competition thing of, well, if a man can do it, I can do it, that's brokenness. That's not natural for a woman. That's a woman who's dealing with some kind of brokenness.
Yeah, exactly.
And in competition mode. Now, I know a whole lot of women would be probably got their neck going and their eyes rolling right now, which, hey, that's just my personal opinion. I love being a woman. I'm not trying to be a man. I'm not trying to do his job. I'm not trying to look like him. I don't even like to get my hands dirty. So, I like being feminine. So, and I think that's just where the woman would be in trying to prove that point, because I think that's all it is. I'm just trying to prove the point that I can do what you did. But I most definitely would tell my girlfriend, hey, do you want to be a woman or a man? That would be my question. What you trying to be, and what are you trying to do what are you trying to prove? Those would be my 3 questions.
Yeah, exactly. Leonard, what do you say to that, man? Is that too much? We got some background noise coming from Smart Line, Mutual Line, so we don't have that background noise. But Leonard, what would you say to that, man? Is that too much? Is she doing too much, or should she just go ahead and do you?
I think she can do whatever she like with her body.
Mm-hmm. But is that for you?
What's that? What you say?
I say, is that for you? My question is that for you though? Is that somebody that you would would like to have a relationship with in that situation? She's like Arnold Schwarzenegger.
I like them softer.
Mm-hmm.
I just prefer more feminine women.
Yeah.
If you're talking about physical.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I like the soft parts.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not really,
being jealous.
Some of they look nice. If you're a bodybuilder, I look at you as a bodybuilder.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really care nothing about you being a woman.
Yeah.
I look at you as a bodybuilder. If that's what you into, you got to compete. That's what you're competing with.
Mm-hmm.
That's your, I don't have no problem with like every woman ain't for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And see, and that's my question. And I'm glad you said it that way because listening to you, and I think, honestly speaking, you feel the same way I feel. That's just not. I'm not into that. And everybody, I'm not into that.
I believe they can look nice or whatever, but personally, no, I'm not into that as far as physically being with a woman like that. But I'm just saying, sometimes those women look very different in regular clothes.
Mm-hmm.
But you can tell when it's a little bit, for me, too much.
Mm-hmm.
Too much, But to each his own.
She come up to you, y'all at the dinner table. She come up to you, so come on, baby, feel these guns, guns.
Man, I'm like doing all that.
Badger, what do you say to that, Badger? Is that too much?
No.
Is she walking around looking like Arnold Schwarzenegger? Is that would that be a woman for you?
Not for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and see that, and that's we asking the question. Is that something that you would like? Is that something that would be for you?
No.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's up to the woman.
Mm-hmm.
I have a lot of respect for women that do things like that because a lot of people forget that sometimes a woman can make a better warrior than a man.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why people choose to forget it or overlook it.
Okay. Now let's deal with the physical. We're dealing with the physical part. Let's deal with the physical part. Is that something that will be with you, or that's something that is that the person that you would want to be with?
I mean, if my wife chose to look like that, I'd be fine with it.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I'm not judgmental like that.
Got you. Okay. Now let's trade a little bit, y'all. Rico, talk to me, brother. Everybody mute your line. We got like somebody pulling some tape or something.
You came on 2 minutes where you try to make this thing hit right.
Come on.
Look, I said, man, she got to be soft, man. You know what I'm saying? I don't want no woman walking around trying to prove she's strong.
Mm-hmm.
Prove to me you're sexy.
Mm-hmm.
Prove to me you got some class about yourself. See, it's sort of hard. Well, I guess some men would look at that as sexy muscles or their what they crave.
Mm.
And some people do. They do. They crave that.
Mm-hmm.
That's their thing. So there are a few men out there that probably would prefer women like that.
Wow.
I would be suspicious of those men too, though.
Exactly.
Because they're still a sign of strength.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I'm not saying that a woman shouldn't be strong, but I think mentally strong would be more of a preference for me than physically strong.
Mm-hmm.
I would hate to have, I want a woman I could pick up and walk around the room with.
Yeah.
For however long amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want one that, when I get tired, she try to pick me up. Oh, you got me feeling some type of way. I'm uncomfortable. This ain't gonna last long. I'm used to being a strong man. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't have anything against women, like everybody been saying. To each his own.
Mm-hmm.
I would if a woman could accomplish that and that's what she wants to do, I'll respect that. I'll appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
But me personally, for my own sexual preference, I wouldn't accept that. That's like I wouldn't accept a porn star.
Yeah.
I don't care how soft she is.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care how fine she is.
Mm-hmm.
But I would not accept one. So, everybody has their own taste and like. You know what I'm saying? I mean, a woman with jacked up feet got a problem with me, and she might have everything else working with her. But if she peeled them shoes off and them toes looking sort of funny,
like she been kicking a brick wall,
it ain't gonna work.
Looking like she been kicking a brick wall.
Man, it ain't gonna work. She gonna have a problem, but she better not cross them things up like monkey toes. You know, I don't see some niggas make they man. I don't see women that control their toes like that, man. It was a deal breaker. She bad, but
no.
So I mean, you know, everybody has that taste. There's one of them that I wouldn't accept, but like I said, I wouldn't disrespect a woman for doing that. I would appreciate it and actually acknowledge her accomplishments because it's something that a lot of men can't accomplish.
Exactly. Tucson, she at the dinner table, man, and y'all sitting there eating, and she said, I had a good workout today. Come over here and feel these guns. Feel these guns, baby.
Who's she sitting at the table with?
With you.
I doubt that. I doubt. No, I mean, I'm like Rico. People have a preference, and I wouldn't disrespect it. And we're not talking about if a woman want to be a bodybuilder, they got some bodybuilding women that they'd be like, you'd be like, oh my gracious. But one thing about it, I just keep thinking about, I don't like to be handled like that. Rough.
Calm down, baby. Be gentle. No? I don't need you. I don't need you bench pressing me.
Don't. I wonder, do people realize that those people have calluses on their hands from all that working out that they're doing, using all those weightlifting balls? Those women get calluses on their hands. They get real tough hands. And imagine them touching you in real sensitive places with those old hands.
Man, hey, let me rub your back and you go to the bathtub and you burn it because it'll scratch you up.
Boy, y'all going, Leonard, I don't know where they going right now, Leonard. I don't know where they going. Help me out, Leonard. Help me see this. Leonard?
I personally don't know where they're going. You know, I like I said, I like pretty girls. You know, so, you know, that's my thing. But at one point I was very small and I didn't weigh but 150 maybe.
Okay.
And I, you know, so it was women larger than me. You know, so I'm just thinking about, like, I understand what Rico talking about too. I don't want to feel like some man rubbing on me.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, I ain't for that. You know what I'm saying? But
and let me ask you this: you out one day, you in a store, and and somebody, and all of a sudden somebody run up behind you and grab you around the waist. And you can tell that they're kind of strong. They're kind of strong when they grab you, because they grab you and they squeeze you, man. You can feel the muscle, and they pick you up. And you fight off, and you turn around and it's your girl. You know, that's not a good look.
Well, for my girl, she know better. But anybody get hit like that, I actually hit you. So it's not either or. It don't matter who it is. You know, don't walk up behind me and do that. I'll hit you.
Yeah. Exactly. We got another caller. Caller, what's your name? Where you calling from? Caller, what's your name? Where you calling from?
Hello.
Hey. How you doing?
Yeah, you know my number.
But everybody that's listening don't know your number, baby, or can't see who it is. So you have to identify yourself so they know who we're talking to. So let's do this again.
Likely story.
Let's do this again. Caller, what's your name? Where you calling from?
I will not dignify that with response.
Hey, that's my baby girl, y'all. She giving me a hard time this morning. But this is Way Out Wednesday. What's on your heart?
Nothing, just driving home.
Okay. Driving home? You're supposed to be driving to work.
I just went to work.
Okay, all right. Let me ask you something, Mary. You got a friend girl, and she's a bodybuilder, and she's been doing this thing to the point where she looks like Arnold Schwarzenegger. Is that too much?
I mean, I don't find it flattering, but I don't like women, so.
So would you tell her, tone it down a little bit, or you're overdoing this thing and you're just doing too much? How would you handle that? Or you just wouldn't say nothing at all?
I wouldn't say anything, because if she told me I need to lose weight to look like her, we got a problem. So I wouldn't say that's her body.
Okay, good deal. Now we're gonna switch subject a little bit, and Badge, I'm gonna start this off with you. Do you think that corporal punishment in paddling, let's just say paddling, should have been taken out of school, or is in some instances is it unneeded?
Man, that is such a loaded question. Me and my wife actually talked about that off and on. About paddling and that kind of stuff. I think there's situations where I think it's needed to try to make sure that a child understands that. But like I said, it depends on the severity of what they done. To understand that, there are punishments out there for what they choose, including all the way up to going to jail and, things like that. So like stealing, kind of treat it like you would an adult per se, a couple of times a warning, and then, and then if it continues, then the next step, but outside of that, I think if the child's raised right, it probably wouldn't happen very often, if at all.
Okay. Rico, what do you say? What do you say to that, Rico? Should corporal punishment should have been taken out of school, or paddling, or should it still be a part of school?
Oh man, that is sort of tough, man. Well, to be honest with you, I'd have preferred to kept prayer in school, and I ain't even big on religion, but I saw the energy that it created every morning. I know it was almost like meditation. But now when you start talking about corporal punishment, I'm sort of torn, man, because to be honest with you, I went through it. You know what I'm saying? I didn't really suffer no kind of trauma from my principal or my teacher paddling me. As a matter of fact, I saw a video the other day of some people in Africa getting whooped in their hands with like a paddle, and it brought that memory. I was like, but dang, I said, that little pain in the hand, it will, your feeling will come back after a while. But looking at that, I was like, man, that's sort of torturous. And I was like, man, we went through that in school ourselves. Just stick your hand out, pow, they pop that hand. And so sometimes we conform and adapt to things as normal, but really and truly, we've been programmed to accept things that isn't right. And that behavior of whooping and corporal punishment, it's tied into slavery to a certain extent. And so, that mentality to beat and punish people that way, you know what I'm saying? It comes from a mindset that we assume that that's the way you're supposed to do it. Really and truly, we're not supposed to do it that way. But I put it this way, that is not the cure all the time. But some people think that is the cure every time for disobedience. You get in trouble, you do something wrong, I'm going to beat your butt. I'm going to whoop you, stick your hands out. And so, that becoming the norm, now society is changing. And you have those of us that say, well, it didn't hurt us, but to a certain extent, we condone an abuse. Well, I was abused.
Yeah.
And I turned out all right, so abuse everybody else. So, I'm sort of back and forth on that, because sometimes you do need to put a paddle on that butt. Sometimes you do have to get a little physical with people, because if you don't, they'll get physical with you, and then you don't have a choice but to choke somebody out. Because you couldn't restrain them ahead of time, or you couldn't nip it in the bud. So I mean, I'm torn on that, man. I mean, maybe it's a way it can be designed to where it can't be abused or misused. But me personally, I think that has to be a very last resort.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because I saw a video where a parent recorded the principal whooping her child.
Yeah.
And a lot of people was in an uproar about that. And I said,
man,
that was normal when I was in school.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
It was normal. Plenty of times I know the parents watched the teacher or the principal tell them their child. So, you know, I don't know, man. That's a touchy subject right there, man. But I do think that it is necessary to a certain extent in some instances.
Okay. Mir, what do you say to that, Mir? Do you think paddling should have been kept in school, or is there's no place in school for a teacher or a principal paddling a child? What do you say to that?
I agree with the last person that said what they said, but my overall take on it is it shouldn't be in school because different people parent different ways, and people may not get beat at home because some kids don't need that. Mm-hmm. Some kids need a stern talking to, and they will get in line every time. Mm-hmm. So I don't think it should always jump to a physical thing, especially if the child doesn't need it. I think it should be up to the parents to punish their own children because it's their child.
So it's okay if the child act up in school call home, tell the parent that little Johnny done act up in school. He done did this, he done did that. Little Johnny should look forward to a spanking when he get home and take it out to school's hand and let the household do it. Is that what I'm hearing?
I don't really know what you're trying to twist this into, honestly.
No, I'm just asking. You know, you say it's up to the parents, right? So basically, what I'm asking you
is, it is up to the parents.
Okay. So what I'm asking you is this: is it the school have to call home and tell the parents or call to the job and say, you know, little Johnny acted up in school, and so when little Johnny come home, he'll get his spanking when he get home, and not a paddling in school.
Okay.
Okay. I'll just trying to be clear with it. Trying to be clear.
Are you asking me if that's what I'm saying, or are you giving me an example?
Yeah, I'm asking you, is that what you're saying?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying, because I just said not every kid needs to be beat. Not every kid needs that.
Okay.
So maybe little Johnny just needs to go home. And sometimes kids are misunderstood. Sometimes kids are acting out because of trouble at home. Like you never know why children are doing what they're doing. Like it gets hard. Kids get stressed out too. So it could be a stress at school, and now the kids start to act out just for some comic relief in their own mind. It makes sense, but outside looking in, it's disrespectful for you to be picking on whatever the teacher said wrong. You know, it could be something so simple, but you're jumping into, well, they will get beat at school or beat at home. Sometimes they don't need that. Sometimes you need to talk to your kids to figure out what's going on, and then you go with the punishment from there. Sometimes it's just let's sit down and talk about it, because the way you're doing it is not what you think it looks like outside looking in. So let's try a different way.
Wow.
Sometimes it's as simple as that.
Okay. I can agree with that. You know, sometimes, but other times, you know, you gotta take that belt out. Sometimes you gotta take that belt out too. And so I like to deal with both sides of the coin. But let me go to Leonard. Leonard, what do you say to that, man? What do you think should happen? Should paddling should have been taken out of schools? Or it's just no place at all for paddling?
Yes, it should have been taken out of schools long time ago. And the only people I know that love beating children seems to be black people. I don't know why you all believe that this is just so great a thing to do. I mean, I don't understand it. I don't know. I can, because honestly, if you go along with that, then you believe that hitting anybody helps.
See, my thing is, and from what you're saying, Leonard, I've got paddling from a lot of my Caucasian teachers and principals. They wore my behind out. So I've been through that. You know,
but that don't mean I would put someone else through that.
I understand what you're saying, but I'm just saying it's not a one race or another. I don't think it has anything to do with that. I think it has more to do with
black teachers couldn't whip white children.
I've seen that happen too, brother. Yes, I have.
So let's not get it twisted. And this whole notion, like I remember people reminiscing and so romantic. Anybody could have put their hand. No. You put your hands on my children, I will put my hands on you. I don't care what you think or how you believe. What makes you think you have a right to put your hands on someone else's children? This is not cool.
Okay, I understand what you're saying, but my thing is this right here. In that environment, in that time zone, it was what happened.
Well, I used to get a paddles before, but the things I did
exactly.
and I knew I did, I didn't
Mhm.
mind the paddle. But one time she tried to paddle me and I didn't care for it.
Mhm.
And so I didn't allow her to do it.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I was in the 4th grade then.
Okay, and what happened?
I just went home. I don't answer to nobody.
Mhm.
Not like that. I went home and got my mother.
Mhm.
And I said, I didn't do what she said, and I'm not taking this paddle. I would tear everything in that room up first.
Mhm.
But I'm not going to take a paddle for something I did not do. Now, the stuff I do, okay, because that's the rules. And if
Mhm.
everybody getting the same treatment, then that's the rules. But what you're not going to do is allow a stranger that don't care nothing about your child to put their hands on your child.
Mhm. Now, would you put the school system in that category of not caring nothing about your child if they're
Yes, they don't care that much about my child.
Not to the point where they can paddle them.
No.
Okay, I see.
No.
I just want to make that distinction because
you can't because you're not my family.
Mm-hmm.
Now, my brother and my sister, maybe, but it has to be so serious. But I don't think that they really condone it as much. Like I said, I maybe got one whipping in my life from my parents. Why would you think I'm gonna let you put your hands on me? See, this notion that you're supposed to lay down for abuse or this type of thing, to me, it's just unnatural.
Okay.
I don't believe you should train people that it's okay to be hit and not defend themselves.
So let me ask. So spanking. How do you feel about spanking?
Well, spanking, you can do that with your hand. That's a little misdirection because you're dealing with a person that don't understand English. So you may tap their little butt to let them know, because they don't understand the words you're saying, to move them away from danger or what have you. So you give them a little tap to move them on, like you would have.
But that's still physical. That's still hitting.
Well, that's just a misdirection. You ain't even got to really hit them. You can just move them out of the way, because it should be danger, and that's why you're moving them. Or you say, don't touch this. So you put your hand on their hands.
If someone had a child and they constantly went to every time they went out to the store, they stole something, and they keep telling, look here, don't do that. That's wrong. Don't do that. At what point would this talking stop, and you think you have to take out the belt to make them understand? Is there any point?
No.
Wow.
No. Well, I mean, what? Because if you do that, that's assault.
And if they continue to do that, they're going to jail.
Exactly.
Wow.
Exactly. If you have a problem with a stealing problem, you need to take your child and get some counseling or something, because a whipping may not work, because they're still going to be stealing when you ain't around. I don't know why these people think that whipping works so well. Half the people sitting in jail been beat to death almost.
It worked with me. It changed my mind. But anyway, Donna Tucson, what do you say to that, man? Should paddling be taken out of school, or should it still exist?
And I just want to add one thing I mentioned about Rico said. I don't even remember prayer in schools. And I'm 50. Not once can I ever remember prayer in school.
I do, and I also remember
that a Southern.
Yeah, it may very well be, because I do remember it, and I also remember we used to say the
Pledge of Allegiance.
Yeah,
I remember Pledge of Allegiance.
Yeah.
But I don't really remember prayer at all, because I know if you tried to force me to prayer, I wouldn't pray anyway.
So what
that was Southern program.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, it's Southern program. I see, because up north, I was born and raised up north, so prayer was never in school like I hear some people talk about it.
Yeah, it might. Yeah, I think it actually was like a more Southern type situation that it was. Truth of the matter, I think it was more of a controlling mechanism that they used. But anyway, that's a whole different conversation.
I'm not saying that if that's how y'all used to do it. I'm not
No, I'm saying I think it was a controlling mechanism that they used. But Tucson, what do you say to that, man? Should paddling have a place in school, or should it just have been taken out as it was?
I think if the parents that go to the school board meeting, they should make that decision.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, individually, because I tell you what, I saw the video, and ain't no way in the world to say that
Mm-hmm.
that I would stand there and be opposed to my child being peddled
Mm-hmm.
and videotape it.
Yeah.
That wouldn't happen. I wouldn't care what language I speak.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That no, I'm not gonna videotape you doing something that I object to, and then putting you, please. So I'm gonna grab you or grab that battle.
Thank you.
If that was my 6-year-old, that's a 6-year-old behind some $50 computer damage, you got to be kidding me. If I object to it. Now, if I don't have a problem with it, which, what I hate to see more than anything is somebody yank a child. So just grab them by the arm and just pull them. I hate to see that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why. That disturbs me. Or if you just haul off and punch a child, what you doing? That's abuse.
Mm-hmm.
And some children, I know my brother, you can beat him half to death. He gonna do the same thing.
Same thing.
He used to like it. He used to like to see things come apart. He would take the lawnmower wheels or the engine off the lawnmower. He just take it apart. He was that type of child that no matter what, and Dad would, he would come in. He was a older Baptist pastor, and he would do revivals, and he would work, go to the revival, and then come home. He'd be tired, so he'll wait the whole week. And sometimes if just him talking to you, make you bust out in tears because you know how you were. But my brother, all Dad wanted to know was who did it. And he had a way of getting it out of you. But my brother, I found out that he just wanted to see you. He just wanted to resolve the matter, let it go away, and Dad go to bed. So he would admit to it. And I would keep my mouth shut. And I did it.
And you did it.
I did it. But all he had to do with me, basically, is look at me in a certain way. And I bust off crying because he just wanted to see you cry, really. Or admit to the wrong. But Gerald, my brother, that boy would take a beating. I say a beating, but a whipping or whatever the case may be when we was coming up. And the worst thing about when we was coming up at school, you have to call my mom. And we didn't want you to call mama. Period. Don't come and see, because, I don't know if y'all was like that, but you would have that house coat unbuttoned evenly coming down the hallway. And everybody would wonder, who mama is that? And I look around the corner and I say, Lord, have mercy, mama hit the hallway.
She coming to get me. Exactly.
I don't know. It's up to the parent. The way that society is now, with all the bigotry and the hatred and all that stuff like that, especially if it's I don't think I'm a racist. I don't think so. I don't believe that. But because of the culture we stay in, I think that we should leave that alone. Don't put your head on my child. Period. Call me up. And let me talk and find out what's going on.
Exactly.
I like what my man Toussaint said, because if you really look into it, this is one of the things that I'm because that's my background is education, and my formal education is in leadership and education. So these issues are only people I see attributing this to be so positive are Black people, and usually former, I would say, white folks in the South who used to have slaves. They're the only people that love beating children in the schools for some reason. Now, a lot of folks don't want to believe it, but see, one of my theories is the fact that that's why the culture is quite violent.
But Leonard, you said that you know, and you went to school up north. You got paddling up north as well.
Yeah, I got paddled, but I'm not attributed to being a good thing. That was just the rules. You didn't get paddled if you didn't do things against the rules. So it's not like people were just paddling you for some odd reason.
But my thing is, like I say, you say it's like a southern situation.
Yes.
But you was up north and you got paddled as well. So
I think that's where it comes from.
Okay.
But you got to remember, this paddling is not just here. They're paddling other people in other places as well. My thing is the paddling of children. Why is this so? You know, you do this to children. The only other time we've heard of these types of punishments is with slave masters and owners. That's the only other time you hear about it being justified.
Let me go to Sadaria. Sadaria, what do you say to that paddling? We're talking about paddling right now. Should it have been taken out of schools, or should it still exist in the school systems? What do you say to that?
I think today paddling in the school system would create a huge problem, and for various reasons, but primarily what Leonard was speaking about, because you know, nowadays every parent doesn't see hitting or punishing a child in that manner as being the solution to the problem. Now, when I came up, of course, that's what happened in school. You got paddled, and you got paddled in front of the class. They didn't
indeed.
They didn't necessarily take you outside, because then you were being made to be an example of what would happen if another person had that type of behavior in class. Now, so it's twofold. If you look at the what goes on in the schools now with the students, okay, so balancing and weighing, we didn't have as much craziness going on in school as we do now either with the children. I grew up in a home where my mom, she whooped us. My mother, all of her children, not one, all of her children have been very successful. All of her children have been in the six figures and more. All of her children did very well in life. Now, on the flip side of that, all except for me, because I was the rebellious one. But on the flip side of that, we all have had to go to counseling as well. So, because there was some things in her method that as children, we just didn't understand. Now, as adults, I see some of her principles better from raising 3 kids of my own. And like I said, children do what you do. I spanked my children, and it worked differently in each child. I can see the difference, but I don't think it will go well in schools today. And just for the record, I went to a school where there were black and white children, and the white children got paddled just like the black children did if they didn't follow the rules. So it wasn't more attributed to color. It was, as Leonard said, it was the rule of thumb. If you're disobedient, then you suffer the consequences. And I heard the young lady earlier, I don't know who that was, when you were striving to get an understanding of, you know, once the call is made home, does the child go home and get disciplined? And I understood her answer to be, it depends on the parent, and that is correct. I got one other example. I have a young lady that lives under me. She has 2 children. Her children, and especially her daughter, will cry and scream for hours, literally. Now, she doesn't exercise any physical discipline with this child, but I've seen her children kick her. I've seen them rolling around on the ground. I've seen them scream back at her when she talks to them, and she gives them this timeout and tries to talk to them, and they just unruly. So, like I said, it depends on the parent. It depends on how you get results. My daughter was off the chain, and at 16, I had to just leave her because she was that bad. But I disciplined her, but it still didn't change her behavior. So, it depends on the child, it depends on the parent. But as far as school, you can't put that in school today. You'll have as many parents at the school fussing and cussing, and it would just be a mess.
Not to mention dead teachers.
You talking about killing people in it?
No, what you think about it. 13, 14, 15, it ain't even got to be, they can be girls.
Exactly.
It can be girls. It don't matter who it is. If you have the intent to hurt someone, you will try to accomplish that. And this is one of the issues that you understand. I'm not going to tell my child to stand there and let somebody else hit him. I don't care who you are. So the minute a teacher engages a student this way, it is the student has every right to defend himself. And that could wind up in teachers being killed. You got boys 14, 15, just look at the physical aspect of it. You want to teach somebody playing football 5, 6 feet, 200 some pounds, and think you finna paddle him? If he don't let you, you're not gonna be able to do it. So you have to understand, when these people talking about guns in their schools and teachers carrying guns, who you think they're gonna use them guns on when they get mad? Students. So that's why we have to be very careful when it comes to authority. See the problem we got with the police? Because they got too much authority. And then they abuse that authority. So now you may have somebody, what if you sit here and paddle my son because you ain't like the way he looked at you? Is that fair to y'all? Or y'all picking and choosing? Because some of y'all picking and choosing. Okay. I prefer standards.
Exactly. Mary, what do you say to that?
I think another reason why it shouldn't be in there as far as the causing harm to people is we're already having a large amount of school shootings from children who are bullied, and they just, try to handle it themselves and fatally for many, many people. But it's what happens if you get paddled by a teacher and you feel like that teacher's picking on you too, then will there be also another influx of school shootings? It's just like, it's too unpredictable, and it's too harsh of a punishment for you to put it into. It's kind of like, if you want to say put paddling in school, then you also have to go with the capital punishment, where you feel like if you do something, then the courts can say that you can have a fatal death in prison. They can punish you that way. So you can't say on one side, oh yeah, a child needs to be beaten in school, and then not also support every extreme punishment that America has had over its history.
Rico, talk to me. And that's true. That's absolutely true. She ain't said nothing wrong.
I'm glad Leonard brought that up about the fact that sometimes, well, in this day and time now, teachers might die, principals might die for paddling students. Man, you got students making teachers pregnant right now, and it's an epidemic, it's widespread. So you got people shooting at police and killing police right now for injustice. Schools been getting shot up since Columbine, like left and right. It's almost commonplace. So the atmosphere today isn't the same as it was in the past for corporal punishment to even be a safe action for those with authority. But now this is the angle that I think people don't look at. And I don't agree with corporal punishment being in school either, but I know where the people that are proponents of corporal punishment are coming from. Because you have a certain, I'm going to say, group in society a group of people that may have parents that enable the bad behavior, that encourage it. Some parents introduce their children to this debauchery that they're doing when they go to school, the disrespect, and they don't hold them accountable when they get home. Some parents don't punish their children, period. They're too busy spoiling them and trying to please them. I don't want my child to be mad at me. The minute, I know parents right now that when it comes time to discipline their children, when the child get mad at them, they go back and comply. Well, the only reason I did that because you didn't clean up your room and this and that, but here, you can have it back this time. So the child keeps getting their way. Now, what happens when the child, the teacher, or the parent, the principal calls home, and the parent says, "I'm gonna address it. I'm gonna tear his little butt up. He know I don't play that." Then they get on the phone. Girl, he been up there showing out at that school again. I done told them teachers, my baby don't play. He his daddy's son. Don't they know we Jones? We don't play that. My family go up there and tear that school up. And the kids just sitting there listening to that. Oh, my family will come up to the school and tear that school up. Oh, and this teacher that I don't like won't let me have my way, won't let me show out and flip and entertain. Let me go. Let me act a fool. I wish you would. My mama gonna come up here. If you come up here, my dad do this and that. So it's like, what can't, some of those teachers do, principals or coaches, to a certain extent, they do want some form of punishment for those children. Because like I said, you have enablers. You have parents that are just as toxic to their own children to whether they can't function right in school. So they are a problem. They are dysfunctional. They are disruptive to the classroom. They're not only disruptive to the classroom, they might turn out the whole school fighting a teacher. Now the whole school can't even get back and function today because everybody talking about such and such hit Mr. So-and-so. So, you have that energy, that atmosphere that exists that has those people that want corporal punishment back in school to justify that feeling that they have. I think we just have to sit down and reevaluate how you handle discipline in schools. There has to be something put in place for those students that don't have the correct system in place at home. It's not holding the children accountable. It's not being taught properly, because it does start at home in some cases. Exactly.
It's so many different layers tied into this thing here, man. With dealing with the schools and stuff like that. Donna Tucson, what do you say, man? And we brought some very valid points to the conversation. But should it be a part of it in any element? Pattern, corporal punishment in schools.
Again, I would say, if I had a kid in school, just call me. I know that by the time I get there, things may be out of hand. But and I don't know if this is a form of imprisonment, we would call it. But I would just say, look, have him come in the office. If he is unruly, we got a problem for real. But I wouldn't think that I would allow my kid to before he left the house, to be an unruly child. Don't go to school and give this teacher no attitude. It's not a slave mentality to say yes sir, no ma'am, thank you, no thank you. That's just manners. But you go to school to learn. That's what I would put in his head, his or her head. You go to school to learn. I know you may have friends, but watch the friends you hang around with. So if for instance, something happens that the influence causes him to or her to get out of hand or do something to break the rules of the school, keep up with the rules that you're supposed. This is the do's and the don'ts of the school. And if he somehow has a problem, call me. Just call me. But do not make you dumb in this society. Do not. I'm telling you, school board. Do not. I'm telling you, teacher, principal, coach, whoever you are. Don't you make no choices about my child to put your hand on. That's me. Now, some people may feel different, But I'm saying, I'm going to do, now here's my part. I'm going to do everything that I possibly can at home.
Yeah.
To make sure that my child does not have to have their teacher, their principal, their coach to call me. They make me come off my job. You better not.
Wow. So
have that happen.
Exactly. So Dario, now people go to school and to learn. Now, if your child is the one that's always disrupting and not allowing everybody else to learn like they're supposed to or want to, and you've been called several times. And they call you this time. They say, "Look at here, we got another option, and we're going to paddle your child. I mean, you could come here or however you want to do this. We tried every avenue. It hasn't worked, and we've called you 3 times about a situation similar to this every time, and it's nothing is changing. We're going to paddle him." What is your response?
Well, if we're talking about today, my response would be, let me get there first. Let me find out what the disruptive situation is. If it's something I've addressed at home and my child is still being disruptive, I might allow him to be made to understand that this is a behavior he cannot have at school, but I want to be present to make sure that whatever is done to my child is not abusive, is not misdirected, is not being done at a level that it shouldn't be done. But on the opposite end, I'm going to start looking into what's wrong with my child, what in fact is going on with the child, that no matter the punishment, they continue in the same behavior or manner. One being, I've been teaching this a lot lately. You can't get an apple from an orange, and you got to look at the seed. The children get natural inclinations from the seed that they come from. So you got to look at the seed. If you've had a child with someone who got a bad temperament, is just, crazy in personality, they've been around this, they've seen this, and it's the same thing I go back to. Children do what they see, not what you say. And if a child is acting out, usually, not always, usually there's something going on that either you don't understand, you haven't talked about, or you have not observed or taken the time to find out what is actually happening with your child. Now, as I said, I had 3 children. My daughter was very, very disruptive, but I understood why. Because something happened to her when she was very young. But I knew that. But there's a lot of parents that things are happening to their children and they don't have any idea. But they just see the behavior. So it's twofold still. Yes, I probably would allow the discipline so that the child could understand, okay, so now you already know they have permission to discipline you and embarrass you in front of your peers from me. But like I said, I would want to be there in today's time. I wouldn't let it happen without my presence.
Okay, that's good. Mary, what do you say to that? They call on the phone. You have your son or your daughters at school, and they're being disruptive again. This is your 3rd or 4th phone call. Now they'll call you. They say, "Look at here. We've tried all the other options. It's not working. Your child is not listening. We're going to paddle your child, and you can come here if you want to, or you can stay at work. But we're going to paddle your child." Mary, how do you respond to that?
My first question is, did I know paddling was allowed in this school before my child was enrolled? I knew that it was. If I know that paddling is involved with the school, my child won't be in that school. You're not going to paddle my child, no, because at this point you're frustrated, and like someone said before, they're not gonna care about your child. Nobody loves your child as much as you love your child. Nobody cares about your child as much as you care about your child, and nobody will die for your child for the things that you would die for your child for. So you will not paddle my child because you may not know when to stop, and if you don't know when to stop, it's gonna be a problem. So no, nobody's gonna discipline my child. No, especially no. If I don't know you like that, you will not discipline my child. And I probably would not want my children to be beat in the first place because I don't really support that. I feel like everybody has their own choice. You do you. But for me personally, I'd rather try to talk to children, because if you watch children, like children now, they talk about things. They're more vocal. Children are way more vocal now. So you can just talk to your child. You know when your child's lying. You could talk to your child and figure out what is wrong. Where can you go from here? Because that's how you teach them to be good adults. If you just punish them when they're young, and they don't get punished when they're adults, because now they're not in mom and dad's house, they're gonna do what they want to do. And once they figure out, oh, well, no punishment, nobody beat me today, I guess it's right. You have to teach your child these things are wrong, and let me tell you why. Let me tell you what you do from here. Let me tell you the ways you can go about it. When they get out of your house, yes, they can still call you, but it's up to your child to be the adult you raise them to be. I would not want them to paddle my child. And if you paddle my child before I get there, I will come there with the authorities and we will handle it. But you will not paddle my child.
Exactly. That's good. That's good. Cassandra, good morning, young lady. How you doing this morning?
Good morning. How are you?
Hey, doing well, doing well. You know, this is Way Out Wednesday. We don't have a topic, but what we're talking about right now is corporal punishment. Paddling. Cassandra, should paddling have been taken out of school, or should it still exist in school? And what is your view on it?
Well, now you have a lot of parents. Well, it's different than when I was growing up, because when I was growing up, we did not have the amount of disorder in classrooms that we have now, because you knew that the principal might get you. When I say get you, get that ruler and paddle your behind, or the teachers might do it, the neighbor might do it. And now we're living in a different society where, you know, nobody wants their child to be disciplined at school or whatever. And that's why I would not teach. That's why I stopped teaching, because the kids were totally unruly most of the time, a lot of kids. And a lot of my friends that were in the teaching profession left the teaching profession because of the same thing. You can't control the children. The parents aren't controlling them, and then they expect you to control them. I told one parent, I'm not a police officer or a security guard. That's not my job to discipline your children. You need to teach them how to listen and to respect people. And so, you know, it's everybody's call. Everybody we're doing things, but I would not. I taught for 12 years. You could not pay me enough money to go back to teaching today. Not in the environment that the teachers are dealing with. And like I said, a lot of my friends have left the teaching profession because of that loved it.
Wow. Leonard, talk to me, brother.
Like Miss Cassandra said, and that is really the way it is. And in this environment, it has to change because of that. And it's unfortunate but it's necessary.
Yeah.
I like what your daughter said was 100%. As a matter of fact, that's great advice on how to handle those types of situations. Because you cannot allow this to continue. And just because you've been doing it forever don't make it right. And like I said, with my one of my issues with education is we have to move away from compulsory education. Children that do not want to learn and cannot behave should not be forced upon other children.
Yeah.
So if your child cannot behave, it's your child. It's your responsibility. And if you can't handle that responsibility, we all are very well of what happens next. But see, this notion that you send your kids to somebody else to take care of while you do what you want to do, that has to be over with. We have to really be focused on education. I hear people complain about education all the time. The problem ain't education. The problem is the people. Trust me, kids do very well in environments where everyone is on the same page.
Yeah.
Yep.
See, all this acting out, you sending your kids to school and everything go on in your house, they bring it into the school. All that bad will and all these things that are happening to them, you're dumping them on public education and then blaming public education for this problem. And it's not.
Yep.
Exactly. Rico, talk to me, brother.
See, Cassandra, she put it on the head. You know, she's not the only qualified educator that doesn't want to be an educator anymore. So now you got a lot of people just doing it because it's a job. And it's showing in their standards. It's showing in their morality and their values. I wouldn't want corporal punishment in school because I wouldn't trust the judgment and the motivation of people that's teaching nowadays. They aren't the same. That's just like with doctors and nurses. You don't have the same people that's caring for people now. Now they're just doing it because it pays good. So if you got people caring for you or teaching your children, but they're really not big on education, they're just doing it because it's a job, it's a career, then yeah, you're gonna probably be in a situation where the same people that's put in charge of disciplining your children make judgment calls on who they are in favor of having sex with. Imagine that. You trusting the teacher to treat your child fair, but this teacher is sexually attracted to your child's friend. She ain't sexually attracted to your 14-year-old son, so she might treat him a little different. She might not even give him no special attention, but the 14-year-old son or the 14-year-old daughter that this man is attracted to might get a few privileges. She might get away with a lot more stuff. The other kids want to get away with some stuff too. They want to blurt out in class. They want to cuss and the teacher not say anything about it. They want those same favors. And so now here it is, these teachers, if you want to call them teachers, nowadays are expected to be upstanding and fair across the board. Even when it comes to punishment, when it comes to holding people accountable, holding the children accountable. So, you know, you have that problem, you know, with trusting human beings in this day and time in an age of less morals, trying to be in a moral situation where they're teaching children. And then you have those that go home to no discipline. Their parents are just as toxic as them. Garbage. Their parents are bullies. I mean, we got to think about it. This troll and bully mentality that is going on is picked up from somewhere. It ain't just from the media. Somewhere the parents are enabling their children to be these little monsters that we see. Somewhere the parents are teaching children to shoot AR-15s and then taking them across state lines to participate. Those are the type of parents that exist nowadays. So it's sort of understandable that people are they're in despair. They don't know what to do. You know, they want corporal punishment, but at the same time, they know that can backfire. These children might come back to the school and shoot it up, but they need something. They need something. They don't know what to do to reel that atmosphere back in so they can properly educate children that's coming in with all the control and power in their hands now.
Donna Toussaint, do you think kids are as into education, as into learning?
I have a question.
You have a question?
I have a question. Because we keep talking about children. What about the teachers that don't do right? We gonna paddle them too?
So you want to have an opportunity to paddle the teachers that mess up?
I'm saying the teachers that are unruly, because there are also unruly teachers. I had a teacher who showed me in 5th grade people jumping out of the Twin Towers. I had a teacher who told me many stories that she should have never told me as a 5th grader, and nothing has happened to her. She's still an educator. So what are we gonna do about that? We can't say punish the children, keep punishing the children, and then not do anything about the leadership.
That's good. That's good. Toussaint, what do you say?
And if Mary, since Mary brought it up, why not some people who believe that when their wives don't behave, that they should be able to do that to them as well?
So, Leonard, you just don't like the physical. You just don't like the physical part of it. You don't like the physical part of it.
Well, who does like it?
Well, That's a good question. Who does like it? My thing is I don't and answer that question. I'm gonna tackle it because you put it out there. I don't think it's a like thing. I don't think it's a like thing. I think it's more of a learn thing, and people feel as though that's people. Yeah, true. But people feel as though that this is the way that I was done. This is the way that I learned. This is the way that I was taught when I was growing up. When I did something wrong, this is what happened.
And your kids are showing you the fruit of that mentality.
We're going to continue. We're going to continue with this because this is the way. And I'm not terrible. I'm not a terrible person. I'm not. And they try and justify it by using themselves as an example. I'm not a terrible person. It didn't destroy me as a person. This is what I did. This is what happened to me. I understand what you're saying. I understand exactly what you're saying. And let me do this. Dawn, I'm coming to you. Give me 1 second. I'm going to go to Cassandra, and I'm going to speak to the counselor in you, Cassandra. What are you hearing?
I don't, like we've been saying, everybody has their handling things or how they feel like.
Hey, Cassandra, your phone is breaking up just a little bit.
I said, everyone has their ideas of how things should be handled, and should teachers, spank or whatever. And I'm not even talking about. I don't know. I just, because I taught school, I just have a different view. If some of the people that have a problem with children being disciplined, I would like to put them in a classroom and teaching kids today, especially in public school. I worked for a private school most of the years that I worked, and that wasn't quite as bad, but a lot of the public schools, because parents that are paying, when I'm talking about parents, they're not playing.
Yeah.
When you cut up and they're putting their money out month to month to have you in private school, they don't play. Something go down, they're at the school like immediately. Public school, a lot of times, parents will come, but a lot of the ones that come, they come with that aggression. Because I've had teachers, friends of mine, that actually were like attacked almost by parents because they didn't discipline, because you can't discipline in public school. You can't. But they came in like, if you ever effing didn't my child, I'll effing blah, blah, blah. What? That's where your child gets the craziness from you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because if a parent come at me like that, I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. It ain't going to be a pretty day. It will not be a pretty day, because somebody going to jail and somebody going to the hospital. Don't do that. But parents will do that. I've had a parent come at me one time. And I promise you, that was the last time a parent ever came at me. I don't know whether the word got around, but ain't nobody came at me. Don't come at me like that. If you come talking like you got some sense, because that's why your child acting crazy, because you crazy. Control your children. Control your children. Teach them to respect others. And we have kids that are afraid to go to school because of bullying of your crazy child that you raising.
Wow.
And it's pathetic.
Apple don't fall too far from the tree. Apple don't fall.
It sure don't. It sure don't.
Cassandra, passionate about this, Cassandra. Go ahead.
I like what Cassandra said, because that goes back to what I was saying earlier. You have some of the parents that are the biggest enablers of that dysfunctional child, that disruptive child. I went to school with people that went to every school in my school system, and they ultimately dropped out when they were old enough to drop out. And those parents always found problem with the teachers. Those teachers don't like my son. Those teachers don't like my daughter, but your daughter running around like a peacock, standing up in the middle class, being disruptive, and your son want to fight and bully and don't want to do his homework. He always in the hallway, and they never chastise that son. They always believe that son. That son could come home sometime. Mama, they just don't like me. And then they'll make up a lie. She said this, she said that. And the parents are wanting to believe that. So, they make the atmosphere hard to not say that corporal punishment is needed. But it's so dangerous nowadays. Like I said, now, in this day and time, If parent, okay, I'll put it this way. You have probably a more number of parents that will allow their children to do that. Teach their children to shoot. Got them guns is wide open, available to them to do what they want to with them. No rules apply to them at all. If you punish that child liable to come back to school and kill that coach. You know, Linda said something about 14-year-old or 15-year-old boys getting D1 scholarship offers, 200 pounds already. They could whoop a man. That coach might discipline him, and he might whoop that coach. There have been instances of some of the players whooping the coach and going to jail. So some instances, you know, like I said, it's a dangerous atmosphere now, but something has to be put in place just for those children that lack discipline at home and don't have the guidance in place.
Now, Rico, the ones that beat up the coach, are those the ones that deemed uncoachable? Scenario, what's on your heart?
Well, I was just listening. The one of the things I wanted to clarify is this, because everybody pretty much knows my age, so I'm in my 60s, and when you got disciplined in school, your teacher couldn't just take the paddle and go ape on you. That's not the kind of discipline we're talking about. They may be able to give you one swat or two swats, but they didn't just take the paddle and go beating your children. That's not what we're talking about, because that's not discipline. Or they used a ruler and hit you in your hand. They asked you to hold your hand out. So we're not talking about giving somebody the authority that when your children act up, they just can go ape with a paddle and beat them 20 times on their butt. We're not talking about that. And I don't know if that's maybe the picture that some of the younger generation have. I believe the problem began, and I've stated this to my children, the problem began is when our governmental system took authority away from parents. And when they started letting children divorce their parents, and when they started giving children the mindset that I don't have to respect my elders because now I have the same power. So now you've given power to immature, unexperienced people who may deem something that would be necessary for them to learn and be disciplined in as you being abusive or you being, you know, out of order as the adult or as the elder. But that's where the problem began, because now they figure, well, I got all these legal rights. I can call 911 on my parents. I can do this. I can do that. How can you have that much authority when you can't even work and take care of yourself? How do you give someone that much authority? So then these same children figure, well, I don't have to respect any other adult. I might give my parents some respect because it's my parent, but I don't have to respect adults because they can't do this to me no more. So it's really been thrown out of balance, so that now you have teachers, their hands are tied, and then you have parents, some of the parents who believe that there should be discipline, their hands are tied, and then you have these parents that think discipline is beating your child to death, you know, and putting them in the hospital. So it's a matter of what people consider discipline, and I just wanted to clear that up. Discipline, when I was going to school, I might get one paddling, two paddlings, and that was the end of it. My teacher wasn't standing up there just beating me in front of my class, or, you know, like in my hands. And after that embarrassment, now for me, after that embarrassment, and I knew all the kids were going to make fun of me for getting in trouble, I stayed my butt out of trouble because I didn't want that embarrassment. So that I just wanted to bring that out, because I think people have a misconception about the paddle discipline.
Absolutely. Toussaint, talk to me, bro.
I wanted to comment on what was said just now.
Okay. Well, y'all just jumping in today. Go ahead.
Well, because I think the difference is you all lived in a different generation than us. Like I am the generation that just not too long ago just got out of high school, you know? So it's like you have to pay attention to things that happen now. I understand when you all were younger, it was just maybe a couple pets or something, or, you know, something like that. But now we have teachers. There's a teacher who cut a child's hair because she didn't. It was something about her hair. I think it was a natural hair thing. She cut her hair. So you can't confidently say putting paddling back into schools is going to be a 1 or 2 pop situation, because you have teachers that when paddling isn't in school, they're cutting children's hair. You have teachers that are fighting students. You can't confidently say the day and age that we live in right now that paddling is appropriate for schooling, because paddling isn't appropriate right now, and you still have so many things going on in schools. There's things that parents don't even know about that happens to children in schools because we're too embarrassed to tell our parents, because you don't want to seem like when you're a child, you want to feel like you can do it by yourself. Everybody wants to be an adult until they're an adult. So you want to feel like you got it, you can handle it. There's a lot of things that my parents will never know that happened to me in school just because I felt like I don't have that trauma anymore and I handled it. So you can't confidently say those things that like paddling would just be 1 or 2 pops or with a ruler. I understand that was during y'all's time, but while we're growing up, it is different. It is children. I've seen children bring drugs and knives to school to go and do something to somebody in the bathroom. Like, things happen all the time. Like, when people genuinely say like school is dangerous. School is a very dangerous place. And people don't understand that. Like, now it's so different than the stories that I've heard about you all's childhood. So I don't think it is appropriate, because we have people in daycare. There's multiple things about people that have daycares that are shaking babies, that are beating children aggressively because they're frustrated. When adults get frustrated, when people get frustrated, we sometimes get out of character, and people don't know how to handle their aggression while we're growing up. There's a lot of things that happen in school these days.
Wow.
I don't think it's appropriate for it to be. I don't think it's appropriate for us to compare the generation now to the generation that when you all were younger. Y'all didn't eat Tide Pods. A lot of different things happen with children these days. I never eat Tide Pods, but I'm saying a lot of different things happen as the generations go along. You can't confidently say we should go back in time.
Wow, that's good. That's good. And see, and that's why I like this conversation, because we have different generations of people that can actually speak on what happened during their times. Tucson.
Can I say something? Oh, go ahead.
Tucson, what's on? I've been trying to get to you, brother. What's on your heart?
I just listen. I listen very well. And one thing we got to do, and I'm glad. Is it Mary?
Mary,
your daughter. Yeah, she's on because we have a different environment.
Yes.
And we don't have any solutions because we don't listen. You know that vaporing is a popular thing among our kids. There's a lot of them that you don't know that your grandchild or your child is vaporing. You don't even know it. Some of you know it, but you got kids you got parents. Let me say it like this: you got parents that are 20 and 30 years old, 40 years old. 40 years old got grandparents, and these parents are crazy. So what do you think you got with the kids? You got parents that'll shoot you in a minute what you think their child learning. So you go in there and you say, okay, you go ahead and discipline my child. Okay, because your attitude stinks and the parents are crazy. The child say, well, I'll just go over to the school and bust a cap in them. Now what you got? So the best thing we do is get involved at home with our kids and do your own thing. That's just me.
Exactly. Cassandra, talk to me. Cassandra, I'm about to say it to you. Wake up and go to sleep. Wake up and go to sleep. Leonard, talk to me.
Man, when Mary do say something, she makes sense.
Yeah.
And she has definitely, and she explained it so well, because there is a whole different social environment going on that parents have no idea about. Then you start learning what's going on by being on social media. And when you see who going to school, just little youths, younger youths are going to school. And the issue is we're piling all these kids in one place, and half these kids don't even want to be there.
Yep.
You got to quit forcing kids to go to school because they're making it terrible for children who go for an education. You go to school to learn general things. You should be bringing that character from home. If you cannot function and act civilized, you should not be in schools. All that cutting up. Now, we understand a bad day. Okay, we don't see if a child has a medical issue. We don't look into that. But you just cutting up, disrupting. Some kids go to school just to antagonize other children.
Yep.
You think you finna paddle him? He'll kill everybody in there. So we have to understand that environment is so important, and stop romancing over these pasts and you're attributing certain things to your success that may not be true. You assume that because you got beat for some reason, you turned out better. I don't understand that thinking. I really don't. That's too slavish to me. How you gonna love that? So the children are showing you what has happened. Listen to the story of how these children have been treated before they even got to a school. But yet it's somehow public education's responsibility. It's great we live in this country where we do have, especially this administration, focusing on more funding in education because of these social issues. Education is fine. It's the social cultural issues involved that inhibit the delivery of this education. So we have to be honest. I can't give you a solution to a problem if I'm using bad data, because it's going to force me to go back and say I missed something. You know, we love saying things were so great because that's how we was raised. Believe it or not, that same mentality about why you whip your children may be related to why abused people abuse other people. Because somebody did it to them. That's why they're doing it. So they don't feel alone, because if I was beat, you should be beat. If I was sexually molested, you should be sexually molested. That's we got to stop the bleeding. And people just think about it. I want my kid to be hit in school. I wouldn't protest for you for no amount of money at all. You're fighting so your children can be hit. That sounds almost like an unholy war to me. So we have to do something, because what y'all are staking your claim on is this need to be whipped in order to turn out decent.
Wow.
There's some people try, that it didn't work.
Let me go to Cassandra. You back with us? Cassandra, you back with us? Sadaria?
I think that most of us, if not all of us on the panel, as far as putting paddling in the school today, were against it, based on where our society is. Here is a corrective statement for me. I personally never said that beating, which is different from a paddling, that beating someone was a solution to making them a better person. I never said that, and never would agree to that. But I do believe that discipline makes everyone a better person. Now, how people exercise that discipline is really their right and choice on a personal level between them and their own children. But the reality is you have to make sure that your method is actually working, whichever method you choose. So if I have a child that I can talk to and explain things to and get a positive outcome, that's what I'm going to do with that child. But if I have a child that no matter what you do, as far as verbally, you cannot get a positive output from that child, as I said initially, first of all, I'm going to take them to counseling along with myself to strive to find out where the problem lies. Secondly, in this culture, in this generation, all of these things that exist now existed when I went to school. They just didn't have names. Now we've given a name to everything. So then people believe, oh, this is what my problem is, only because it has a name. People call me OCD today. But when I was growing up, it was just being clean and taking care of your house. It wasn't an issue. It wasn't a problem. It wasn't an issue. Today, it's made to be a problem. So every time we give something a name, it perpetuates a behavior. And then people believe, oh, okay, so this is what's wrong with me, so I can claim this, so this makes it okay. No, that's not the truth. So I think, nothing, people think that because times change, things change. Well, just like today, the clothes they wear, we wore them when I was a teenager. We wore afros and natural hair when I was a teenager, which was 40-something years ago. So this is not new. That's what I'm striving to say. The behaviors are not new. They're just being handled differently. And because of that, you have a different outcome. And so that's really all I wanted to say.
Good deal. Good deal. Rico, talk to me, brother.
Yeah, I agree with Sedaria. I mean, sometimes it might seem like there's a big, that's the reason why we have such a big gap in between generations, because the older generation sometimes think the newer generation is going through something different. The newer generation think they're experiencing something that we didn't experience. So what we went through, it don't apply today, and that's completely not true. The only reason it seems like that now because the internet gives you access to information to show you what's going on in places. See, we couldn't talk about what happened in California, in Michigan, in Mississippi, in Georgia. We weren't able to look at a woman go viral for watching a principal whoop her child. I couldn't even see that happen in a school in another district from the district I went to in the same city. Sometimes you didn't know there was a big gang fight, salt and pepper, race fight at a school, unless the state trooper showed up and then it went into the newspaper. Other than that, if you didn't go to that school, you didn't know what went on. Yeah. You didn't know somebody got caught having sex in the bathroom, unless you went to that school. But now guess what the internet does? So now all of a sudden, people that really wasn't around 20 or 30 years ago think they know what happened 20 or 30 years ago because they don't actually get the complete full set of information, the full information from those people from back then, from our generation. So now we sit back and we watch what they're doing and they say, y'all don't understand. Y'all didn't do this. Y'all didn't do that. Yes, we did.
Yeah. Yeah.
It just wasn't widespread. It wasn't popular. See, it wasn't trending back then. So that's really truly, if we could actually sit down and find a connection between us, then we can bring this whole community together that the way we need to. See, we're talking about why we're not talking about that now, but in the past and in general, we always talk about why we are not connected, why we're so disconnected and not unified in the Black community. And this is why, because we have a misunderstanding of the fact that we have been through the same experiences. The only thing has happened is the day and the time.
Mary? What's on your heart?
I'm here.
What's on your heart, boo? We're ready to get out. We're ready to get out of here.
Honestly, I don't even know what the argument is at this point because we all kind of agreed. So I don't really know what the argument is anymore.
Well, there isn't
like
one.
We all
we came to a very happy medium, and what we could all agree that there's really no place in this day and time for corporal punishment in the school, because you have so many different entities, so many different elements involved. You could have a very racist individual, be it black, white, or whatever the case, and somebody come into that his or her office to be paddled. He or she may overextend themselves because they don't like the race of that individual. And so, Rico, I see you unmuted. What's going on?
Or what if they come to school trying to relive their high school days and they try to get the captain of the football team or the head cheerleader?
And we already have the data that black boys are punished far more excessively than their peers.
Exactly. So, Leonard, what's going on at 3 o'clock today, man? We could actually go another 3 or 4 hours.
No, we're not, because it's Cinco de Mayo.
Oh, that's what. That's right. It's Cinco de Mayo.
Everybody need to be celebrating by 12 o'clock noon.
That's right. Now, how you celebrate?
Usually, I cook Mexican food, Hispanic food all the time. So, to me, it's more of the same. I'll probably have lots of nachos. I'm pretty sure there won't be a whole bottle of rum that go to waste, but maybe half a bottle.
Look, you must go pour it on the ground for the dead homies. I know you ain't gonna drink it.
They gonna get some too. So,
yes, sir.
But if you did not get a chance to hear the show in its entirety, log on to www.dkmmediagroup.com at 3 o'clock Eastern today.
Good deal. And Rico, pray us out, brother.
Jesus will.
I knew what he was gonna say. I
heard that one in a minute. I like that. When we was kids, pray. Jesus will. There's a verse.
Exactly. I gave you the whole verse. Less than 5 minutes. Sit down with your prayers out, sis. Rico ain't gonna act right.
Hey, thanks everybody on the panel for your views and information. I always am educated when I'm on the panel, and I thank all of you. Father, in the name of Jesus, we just thank you for this show. We thank you for the host and his obedience to his gift. And we pray for everyone's safety, everyone's blessings throughout the day, that you keep us all. And thank you for bringing the generations together and being able to come to one solid conclusion. Lord, bless us all and bless our families and those that we come in contact with. And let our light so shine that when men see our works, they will glorify you, who is in heaven, and not us who are here on earth. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. But he right, Jesus will. Would Jesus weep? Would Jesus weep during this time right now? What's going on? Would he be disappointed? Would he be disappointed in us? It is now 10:05. 10:05. I want to thank everybody for joining us. And more than that, I want to thank you for allowing DKM Media Group and Associates and the Morning Glow for being a part of your morning. It's 10:05. You're about to exit the Morning Glow. But before you go, I want you to do me 2 favors, if you will. One, I want you to continue to pray for us, because we're certainly praying for each and every one of you. Number 2, why this is real simple. I want you to go out there, find somebody and give them a hug, because you never know. It could be the only hug that they get, or it could very well be their last. Love ya, and ain't nothing you can do about it. Have a great day and a better tomorrow. We shine some of this light of you from the Morning Glow. Take it out there into this wicked and cruel world that we live in, and let your light so shine. You'll have a great day. Get an opportunity to give somebody some love. You just might find some love in return. Won't that be a beautiful thing? Love you, and take care of each other.